Everyone, thanks for being around. This is the Primetime Royale, which we do Saturdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. We have an amazing group of guests here. First, we have our Dark Lord and Savior, Doobie. Doobie, thanks for being here. Thanks for being around. Really appreciate you coming through once again. How are you doing today?
I am doing very well. Thanks for having me on. I am, for those of you who don't know me, the one of the owners of the politics server on Discord, discord.gg/politics. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun.
All right, yeah, I mentioned my Doobie in chat. To get to that amazing Discord server, you're gonna have a good time there, or you'll have a time there. But definitely check it out. Next, we have Drew Welty. Drew, we got really far last time on this program, like really far. How you doing, Drew? Ready to take another crack at it? Ready to actually take the crown?
I'm going to take the crown. Yes. There's no other things I need to say other than that you better watch yourself on the porn topic because I'm coming after everybody on it. So let's do it.
Okay, thanks so much. All right, next we have KOE. KOE Nation is back with us. I'm really excited to have them. Last time we had a bit of technical difficulties, but it looks like that's all cleared up now. Yes, you're moving and like you're not a slideshow at this point, so that's already an improvement right there. How are you doing, KOE?
Wonderful. Thank you for this invite here at the Prime K's panel. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil KOE. You can find me at KOE Nation on YouTube and Twitch. And ladies and gentlemen at home, are you ready for the many in attendance and the thousands watching at home? Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! I am thrilled to be here, folks, and it is going to be a spectacular time. Hand it over to you.
That was amazing. That was, oh my, you know what? I think I would have made partner in like half the time that I did if I came to each stream with that amount of energy. Seriously, that was transcendent. Thank you, KOE. Thank you for being you. Holy crap. All right, I'm actually kind of pumped.
No problem. It's my favorite thing to be.
Yeah. Oh, but I'm kind of pumped now. Yeah, I was kind of before, but now I'm kind of pumped. Thank you, KOE. Yeah. All right, next we'll go to Layman. Layman, thanks for coming through once again. We've always enjoyed having you. You come out here with a lot of energy yourself, so we're happy to have you jump back into this. How you doing, Layman?
I'm doing good, thank you. Yeah, my name is Layman. I'm just happy to be here. I don't really fit into a political box, so a lot of people really like talking to me because a lot of lefties like things I say, a lot of right wingers like things I say. So I'm like the opposite of a centrist. I'm like where instead of both sides hating me, both sides love me. The entire political spectrum loves me. So okay. I'm ready to kick ass, so to speak.
Okay.
So yeah,
barbecue enlightened centrism.
Yup. Oh yeah, it is. We're not just grilling; we're fucking partying.
The barbecue is over. It's time for
Okay. Moving on, we have Nine Tails Fox. Nine Tails Fox, thanks for coming through. I think everyone in my channel is quite familiar with you, but just in case they aren't, let them know a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Ninetails Cosmic Fox, panel debater extraordinaire, and soon-to-be content creator and streamer when I get my graphics card to work in. I'm not on Twitch yet, but assuming Prime's okay with that, I'm going to post my YouTube and chat. Oh, shoot, I screwed up copying the link. But yeah, I'm...
Great start.
But yeah.
Go ahead.
If anything, I'd like to demonstrate that lefties can be informed in their opinions and that we can still hold to our ideals. But vote for me simply because I'm the most passionate one here, even though I might not be as outgoing as KOE.
Oh.
Also, the person next to me looks like Bob Seven, so don't vote for him.
Okay.
What the fuck is that?
I don't think it was a compliment. But thanks for being here, Ninetails.
I'm Googling this motherfucker.
Yeah. You got a reason to come out for blood now. So remember that, Layman. When voting time comes, remember that. Okay. So moving on, we have Pastel Dallas. Pastel, thanks for coming back. I really
This
appreciate
guy's handsome. I'm all right with that. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry.
He's a handsome guy. But Pastel Dallas, thank you so much for coming through, coming back like the NASA shirt you're rocking there. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm just here to make some hopefully good discussions. Hopefully make sure no one's like saying some really, really stupid takes, and if so, I'll make sure that I can educate them to the best of my ability. I'm Pastel Dallas, or you can call me Abigail. I do actual activism in my local scene and district in my state. And I'm going to be shilling constantly anytime I get the chance. All of you, including viewers, should be out there and figuring out who your local politicians are. You should be going out and voting for them. You should be proposing bills to your council or whatever your local municipality is, because all your problems can be fixed on the local level. I am sick of the federal government getting all the praise, alright? And get out there and actually do some goddamn work.
Goddamn right. I love it.
Base.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
This, what can you add to that? Pastel, as always, we're happy to have you here. Excuse me. Super gassy again. All right, next person. Dancing Spoon / Sneaky Debate Man. My man Spoon has been a long time member of this community, who we very much appreciate. He is an illustrious mod here, a VIP mod in this channel. He's been here for like months and months and months. Hopefully we can have him back more again in the future, because we miss him so much. Spoon, introduce yourself to everyone.
Yes, as Prime said, I am Sneaky Debate Man, aka Dancing Spoon. I'm here to be uninformed and inflammatory as much as I can be. I'll be picking fights with everybody tonight, regardless. I did no prep for this, and everything I say is completely misinformed, so that's going to be great fun. Follow me on Twitch if you want more of that content.
Huzzah.
This guy, where you been hiding him? I love this guy.
And we love our Australians here. All right, moving on. Moving on, we have another mod, Venom Jesus, not an illustrious mod, but a mod here in this channel. Venom Jesus.
Am I a mod?
Inferior.
But we have our good friend Venom Jesus. No, you're not a mod here. Why would I call you a mod? I don't know. Whatever. You're not a mod here. Didn't I mod you in Twitch chat? I swear I mod you in Twitch chat. Did I not mod you in Twitch chat? Whatever. Anyway, you're a person. You won. You won this program once before. Thanks for being around. How are you doing? Oh, did you get your new camera? Is that there now yet?
No, I haven't gotten my new camera yet. It's still on the way. And as always, I have to apologize to everyone else for my bad camera. I'm out here as affirmative action for the Global South. And thank you for having me, as always, Prime. Also, I have bad news for you, because Brazil is actually winning. Brazil has defeated the United States. Officially, we're having more COVID deaths per day than the US. So Brazil #1. The reason we have this fog here is because of the aerosol spray of COVID that the government has thrown into the atmosphere, really.
That's
so
awesome.
It's not actually my fault. Yeah, it's amazing, right? Just
Wow.
surrounded by misery. So thank you very much for having me.
Amazing.
And I hope we can have a lot of fun.
Okay, thank you so much for being around. I'll probably make you a mod after this to save face, really, purely for that reason. All right, moving on.
See, mod. What are you talking about?
Last but certainly not least, we have Katarana. Katarana, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today? We're really happy to have you around.
Yeah, whatever you say. Hello. I am here as I think a leftist. Don't really know. We'll see. Depends on the question. I am a soon-to-be physicist. My favorite pastime is telling Prime everything he does is wrong. And yeah, that's basically it. I have no idea how this format works, so I'm ready to get booted.
Did you not hear my explanation? I can re-explain it to you. You had to leave. You popped out.
Yeah, so for some reason, whenever you have to go on prolonged times of speaking, my computer decides to turn off. So that's what happened.
Wonderful. Okay, great.
Dreaded low RAM.
All right.
I was gonna say the short version is be spicy and hope you don't get voted off.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
More popular
Okay, yeah,
people get
sounds
to
good.
vote the less popular people off at the end. That's the idea.
Yeah, we'll have.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we'll have several rounds. At the end of each round, our wonderful guests here, our audience, will be able to vote as to who they want to keep. You want to be one of those people. Do whatever it takes to get noticed, to get attention. But like not obnoxiously, because no one likes that. But yeah, do whatever it takes so that people will want to keep you around, and then you have a chance of winning. Simple. All right. So we will go to our first topic. Topic 1. The U.S. is currently sitting on tens of millions of doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine while they await the results from the U.S. clinical trial. There are nations that have authorized the AstraZeneca vaccine already and are seeking to acquire as many vaccines as possible for their own people. Should the U.S. relinquish their vaccines to other nations, or should they reserve them for their own citizens? All right, jump into it. 45 minutes are left on the clock.
Yeah, I think that first and foremost, if we're still in clinical trials and we haven't met our standards for proving that the vaccine's safe, we shouldn't do anything with them until we've actually finished our clinical trials. And then once that occurs, we should distribute them among the population. We're not close enough to being done with vaccinating our population. And if we have excess vaccines, once our population is vaccinated, then we can dole those out across the world.
Although technically, doesn't that have to be safer than the amount of deaths caused by waiting? And you're going to cause a lot of deaths by waiting, so you really have to weigh out the costs there. And I don't think the amount of deaths that definitely happen from waiting, are going to be like anywhere similar to they're going to be much greater than the amount of deaths that we cause by speculative deaths that we cause by not researching things further.
Well,
that's such a bad precedent for science. You should never just go ahead and release things because, speculative.
But we shouldn't get rid of them just because
health is
yet. They will get there eventually, and we can't have a little bit of self-interest.
It's also one at a time. So no, that's fine. KOE, you want to say something?
Thank you, sir. I was saying that, just because they haven't been cleared yet, it doesn't make any logical sense for us to send these vaccines that are going to be cleared shortly. Like, if not in months, in a series of months, they will be cleared, and there's really no logical reason to send them off. Any nation can have their own self-interest in mind, and we, as the United States, have quite a virus to tackle, and if we've got a virus drug or a vaccine that can come down the pike that will actually help this, and it will get cleared eventually, I see no logical reason to send it elsewhere.
So I think this comes to an issue of alternatives, right? So what's the alternative? And I think if we look at the other vaccines, the Sputnik and the what's the other one called, Moderna, right? The AstraZeneca one is the most effective. It's I think it's 68% effective on the first shot and then 92% effective on the second shot, whereas the other ones only get up to about 70% efficacy overall. And again, like Ninetales mentioned, it's a question of what's the alternative? We don't do this and more people die from COVID in the meantime, or we do it. We know that this vaccine is safe. Everybody's getting it. Well, there's maybe a few problems with here and there. And we prevent these speculative deaths otherwise.
Well, I mean, we know it's safe by other countries' standards. What we're talking about right now is finishing our clinical trials. It seems to me that if we haven't gone through our process to assure that
why would England lie?
Well, I'm not saying that England is lying. I'm just saying it seems like if we have a process for clinical trials, we should undergo that process, and before that,
control over this.
He's also not saying that we shouldn't send it out at all. What's being said is let the process play out as it is to ensure that everything is healthy, and then you distribute them.
That's a question of alternatives, right?
Other countries have their own medical agencies and ways of making trials for those vaccines. Like if the question is whether or not those vaccines are safe for other countries, then I'm sure other countries can handle it, right? So
we're not going to reveal.
So the idea here is whether or not those
standards, though, if we say it's okay, it's actually okay. America's
we're not going to reveal any
certification.
You don't need to.
Like it or not, that them's the bricks.
Venom.
Okay, great, amazing. You don't need to protect other countries from if a country is asking for vaccines, right? And you're saying, hey, we haven't clinically tried yet, then they can do it, right? They can do it on their own, and it won't hurt Americans if countries on their own if they end up cutting corners in the testing for their own country. It's not going to be America's fault.
Well,
And
well.
besides,
So to be clear,
Happy for him. God bless him. Good luck.
yeah,
well,
and
there's the problem is that it's not just that we haven't finished our clinical trials. We would also be giving our stockpiles of vaccines to other countries. So like it's two problems. Number one, we haven't finished our clinical trials, from what I understand, based on the topic. If we haven't finished our clinical trials, we can't give it to our own people because we haven't met our own standards. We shouldn't give it to other people because we haven't met our own scientific standards. And we probably need the stockpiles of vaccines for when we do meet those clinical standards for America to get out of this pandemic.
I don't
I
understand
love
this
how
idea
we're
about
saying
that.
that this is an issue of science, but then in the next breath, we also say we shouldn't do this because this hasn't passed our own standards. Clearly, this is a matter of ethics
those are
and
the-
science.
obviously the same
And if you're going to
thing.
talk about ethics, we're talking about human lives at stake. So it's very, very clear that whatever your like country standards are and nationalistic pride is, your American exceptionalism doesn't mean that the rest of the world has to suffer. I believe that if you have the power, I believe that if you have the power to get rid of this virus, if you have the power to get rid of this virus globally, you are doing a neglect of human rights to not distribute the vaccine.
So to be perfectly clear, going through clinical trials to prove that a vaccine is safe is part of scientific ethics. So don't accuse me of not being not caring about scientific ethics.
It can also be a part of pharmaceutical monopoly. So how do you
it can be doesn't mean that it is though, right? You have to have some actual faith in science.
But it doesn't mean this is an absolute truth.
Okay, hold on. So we'll go to Dancing Spoon, then Nine Tails, and who else? Katarana, Venom.
Gone through clinical trials, right? It's okay in Germany, it's okay in France, it's okay in England. I don't understand why like you Americans have to get your grubby hands all over it and be like, yeah, but we need to see it. Why don't you trust like Germany's word, England's word, France's word, Italy's word? Why is that not good enough for you? At that point, you're just being like unnecessarily speculative. What do you think? Like, well, I'm not done. What do you think? Like England is like intentionally trying to fucking poison America? Like if you've got like obesity over a certain level, then you fucking die from the vaccine. It just doesn't happen like that.
No,
right?
no.
If it's good enough for the rest of Europe, why would it not be good enough for the clinical trials in America? There's no point in retesting it.
New conspiracies for the internet.
When actively like preventing this vaccine from going out when it's being used everywhere else in the world, basically accepted by every other like modern powerhouse of science and technology, all you're doing there is just preventing people from getting a vaccine who's going to stop people from dying to be like conspiratorial about the origins and the efficacy of the scientific process.
I'm not being conspiratorial at all. Look, what I'm doing is placing confidence in the American scientific community. If they think that we need to go through clinical trials, I place my trust in them to do that. I'm not going to
place all the other scientific communities.
If our American scientific community believes that we need to undergo
why does it have to be
trial,
America?
Stop interrupting the dude, man. Jesus.
Okay, look, I trust scientists. If they believe that, if they think that it's okay to trust the clinical trials of other countries, they can do that. But that's not what they're doing right now. We're undergoing our own clinical trials. If they think there's good reason for that, then I trust those scientific communities. The only person doubting scientific communities right now is y'all.
Okay, let's go to Nine Tails, Katarana, Venom.
Okay, I really don't think American trials are so exceptional or better that they're going to reveal anything new. I definitely don't think that. What I do think is that as a country, if you have the ability to release this vaccine in a way that gets rid of the pandemic globally, and you don't do that out of your own sense of protectionism, then you are helping the pandemic get worse. And the USA cannot get rid of this pandemic by only treating itself. This is a global issue, and you're going to have further waves if you just like isolate in this sense. While the medical ethics side of things may be scientific to a very large degree, there are also other things at play. We have to remember that the American drug trial system is very much in favor of large corporations and not these small companies that research and develop pharmaceuticals. So the fact that other institutions have released the idea that this is a safe drug, I think says that we can eliminate this fact that America hasn't and disregard it as an issue with corporate America, not an issue with the science.
No, well, so obviously I reject the corporate America thing, but I would also note I immediately said at the beginning of this conversation that as soon as we get our country under control, we should dole out vaccines across the world because America has an interest in controlling this pandemic across the world. I understand that. This is not weird protectionism. It's just our country has a duty to its citizens.
America has to treat itself. It has to treat the world, but it also has to treat itself. We can't treat only the world and not treat ourselves. We have to actually make
No
sure
one's
that in our
saying to
own
give away literally
backyard.
all your stocks, though.
That's
No
what a
one's
lot of
saying
people
that.
are saying. We need to start giving away and moving vaccines about.
No,
Whereas
literally what I said is that
America, you're saying you can't just treat America. Well, America does at some point have to actually treat itself, and then any
Yeah, do
nation
that
has to treat
too.
itself, and then move out from there. You have to start at your own backyard before you can start moving out into the
I
rest of
actually
the
agree with
neighborhoods.
this.
So
I
let's
actually
go.
agree.
But
let's
like, if
go
you're
to, finish your point, Ninetales. Then we'll go to Katarana.
if you're one of the main producers of these vaccines and you're simply sitting on these stocks because you don't like your
And you
the
should take
test
care of
results you're
yourself first,
getting.
then.
No, but you're already clearly going to be able to take
you can
care of
help
yourself
everyone
whenever
else.
you release these results. So in the meantime, as you're building up stocks, you can clearly redistribute these things.
Okay.
Put your own oxygen mask on.
This isn't
first
hard.
before you
This
help
isn't
children
honestly
in
that.
an
This isn't
airplane.
hard.
You put your own oxygen
Just think
mask
about it
on
for a
first.
second.
Okay.
AOE, think about it for 10 seconds.
Go ahead. Hold on. We'll go to Katarana, and then Venom, and then Pastel.
Okay, so I looked into some of the side effects of this vaccine, and some people are saying that it's leading to blood clots, as well as it's not really effective against some of the variants that are coming out in other parts of the world. For example, South Africa is no longer using this vaccine because it's not actually effective for their variants. So my thing is kind of like, if there's a half-life on this vaccine and it's definitely going to go ahead and expire, but by the time these trials are done, sure, distribute it. Otherwise, I think it's almost irresponsible to go ahead and give these out because, first of all, within the States, we have a lot more people than others. So we actually have a more diverse population than a lot of other countries. So we're able to actually go and check and say, hey, sure, it might work for this type of a demographic, but it won't work for all. And we actually are able, we're one of the few countries that can do that due to the diversity of people. And I don't think that's a diversity that like the UK or all these other countries have. Sure, they have a diversity, but it's not the same. So it's almost, sure, go ahead, send it out to the world. And then when America gets blamed for everybody's heart stopping due to blood clots because we decided to not.
They do have an obesity problem in America, so
That
It's
and
worth
that's
noting-
additional. So, like a lot of the heart issues that we might have in the States, we might see that there's an amplification of blood clots that could be potentially seen due to clinical trials. So, I think it's more responsible to go through. And I also just want to say, like, I don't know how many of you guys on this panel are scientists, but as a scientist, you better not fucking distribute this without doing the ethics. I don't know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, but American
Exactly.
ethics aren't the
Yeah,
beginning and the end
absolutely.
of scientific ethics. Like, okay, so you got to consider that these variants came from the fact that we didn't get rid of this pandemic sooner. The more people who get the virus, the more mutations that happen. So had we have treated this with a vaccine sooner and not put as many restrictions on the
The
release
The
of the
difference
vaccine,
is
we
here's
could have avoided this.
Here's a really important point. There's a really important point that I just want to say really, really quick. Just we have to bear in mind that the health, like the physical health of people in a given country, isn't going to be exactly the same across the globe, right? Like the US has incredibly unique health circumstance to a lot of other Western countries, like I mentioned before, with the high obesity rates and shit like that. That's why I think it's important to follow the scientific ethics of a given nation and then allow them to go through their trials. That just seems to be the safest thing to do. And I'm not comfortable, like, just sort of like denying the scientific process as it exists in these countries. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
let's go to
I just wanna point out-
let's go to Venom, Pastel, Spoon.
Yeah,
Then KOE.
to me, this whole conversation is taking silly routes. Like, it's not about American exceptionalism. It's not about nationalism. It's not even about self-interest, because it is an
Yeah.
American self-interest to make sure that the pandemic is brought to a swift end. Yeah. So
Yeah.
if we agree with that take, right, then we know that America, we know that as far that we can question about lots of things that Trump did in regards to administering like the COVID thing, but we know that America has more successfully than almost any other country in the world, secured vaccines. When it comes to like a direct per capita measurement of the number of vaccines that have been secured in the U.S. The U.S., as far as my knowledge goes, and I'm fuzzy on the numbers, is only behind Canada. So it's like the U.S. has the vaccines, right? It has the vaccines, and it is in its ability to start distributing them, because it already has way more vaccines secured and on the way to its country than it actually needs, right? So there's no reason for the U.S. to start hoarding vaccines if the idea is to, especially if the idea is to actually bring an end to the pandemic, especially, and this is a factor that no one brought up for some reason, but the COVID variants are a serious problem. It's a serious risk. So you need to get ahead of those, right? Like here in Brazil, we have a Brazilian COVID variant, right? You don't want this spreading. So you want for us in Brazil to get vaccinated as rapidly as possible, so that this variant doesn't reach the borders of the US and doesn't actually fuck you guys all over again. So to me, it's not about American being exceptional. It's just like it is in your best interest to start doing everything at the same time, vaccinating your own people, distributing it across borders, and clinical trials. Leave the clinical trials for the countries that are actually receiving the vaccines, and do all of that at the same time, so you can be just swift into a pandemic. That seems to be the most intelligent prescription at the moment.
Go ahead, Pastel, Spoon, then KOE.
Okay, so I'm looking at the European Medicine Agency, and I'd like to point out from their own admission, 2 of the 4 clinical studies proven, I'm about to put this in the Twitch chat, 2 of the 4 clinical studies only consisted of 6 COVID-19 cases, and I'm quoting here, cases in each, which is not enough to measure the preventative effects of the vaccine. So why might America not trust what's happening? Well, out of the 2 of the 4 studies, they admit it is not enough to measure the preventative effects of the vaccines. So can we really fault the people in America wanting to make sure that this is effective? No, I don't think so. Anyone who says that is, I think, frankly, absurd if we actually read what the European Medical Agency is putting out. It is insane. I can 100% see why the scientists in America want to make sure this vaccine is good.
Yes,
it's
and
literally that simple.
Effectiveness is a limited metric here. Like, it's also about the dangers, and until we have like evidence that there are dangers, I don't think that making the rest of the world suffer because you happen to own the production line is fair.
Well, I think
and efficacy rates aren't going to like prevent other countries from successfully using the vaccine. For instance, we have a vaccine here in Brazil. The efficacy rate we thought was about 80%. Turns out it was 50-something%. We are still going to use it because efficacy and efficiency rates aren't actually going to prevent a country from using the vaccines, right? We can not know the precise numbers and still fucking use it because it's still safe.
Spoon.
It's better than nothing.
So just to be clear, this vaccine's produced in America, correct?
Yeah.
Is it produced in America? Okay. Then it is our responsibility to make sure it's safe. Ethically, period. It is our scientific community's responsibility to make sure it's safe. It comes back on us if it screws up and it hurts people. It's not. It just isn't the case that the only thing we need to do is, we'll just get the vaccines out. People are hurt. Yes. And if we put out a bad vaccine that hurts more people are hurt. We have to test things. This is basic scientific ethics.
Let's go, Spoon.
Also,
Spoon, hold on. Let's go, Spoon.
Okay, right. So I understand this idea of like we look at the studies and we do this thing, but quite frankly, none of us are in a position to make this actual analysis, right? So it's all nice to bring up the studies and be like, well, 2 of them say this and 2 of them say that. But the fact is, fucking Oxford, Cambridge, like the most trusted institutions who have contributed like over time the most fucking research to the planet, the most like absolutely trusted institutions in this world that have ever existed, back this and they say it's fine, right? And like obviously they're not just gonna like make 10 million of them and be like, oh, actually, these don't work, right? These are like the smartest people on the planet, in the most trusted institution on the planet, right? And if they're saying it's okay, I think I'd rather trust them rather than just like fucking like 10 people on a Twitch panel going like, I don't know, I read a study. It doesn't really back it up, right?
No, not what I said, but okay.
I'm not done. To address this idea of like population growth and everything like that, or like different populations, do you really think they've made 10 fucking million of them and then they were like, oh shit, will this work on these people? They probably fucking thought of that. Like I said, these are the smartest motherfucking people in the world, in the best institution on the planet, backed by multiple fucking nations. I don't know how much like higher. What about people's health? They obviously fucking
what about people's health? Like relative to a given relative
into fucking
to
consideration. Obviously, they took that into consideration.
Okay,
of course they fucking did. They're not going to release a virus to 330.
Trust the Twitch panel guy. Put the link in the chat, dude.
No, you're not trusting me. All right. Yeah, they're not like fucking Oxford, Cambridge is not just going to release 10 million vaccines to 330 million people. Like, I don't know. I think it's all right. Probably these are the smartest people on the motherfucking planet. Of course, they're going to fucking test for this.
Of course, if I could inject here just a little bit. Excuse me, just one moment. If I may inject here. Now, Sneaky, I understand what you're saying, but no, your argument would be a lot more valid if it wasn't for the fact that drugs do get recalled from time to time. So we do need to make sure that it does pass very rigorous clinical trials. And America has some of the most rigorous in the world, which is why it takes a little longer. Now, also, I'm going to say this is a point I tried to make a little bit earlier, but it's in a little bit of a shouting match. But if we are the manufacturers, anybody that has ever ridden in a modern commercial airplane has had the talk of you put your own oxygen mask on first, and then you help your child or help anybody else on the plane. You make sure that you have oxygen first so that you can help everyone else.
Yeah,
Kiwi, accept that on this analogy.
I do not yield. But I will also say it is kind of funny for anybody that has seen the South Park vaccine special, the people who've had the vaccines and the folks who don't, they're asking, I just want a shot. Give me a shot. It's kind of funny. I'm sorry. It is a little funny that the non-Americans on this panel are all guilt-tripping the Americans about like, God damn, you need to send the vaccine out. Why don't we have a shot already? It is kind of paralleling South Park a little bit. With that, I yield.
So Pastel, Katarana, and Ninetales. Pastel.
But first of all,
Pastel.
So my only point here is the fact that like maybe it's a little bit more reasonable why people want to make sure in America that it's okay than just like, oh, they're all dumb fucks who really don't care and just want to stockpile. No, maybe there is like a little bit of a reason why they would just want to be sure, right? I really do not think it's just because they're just sitting here like the capital gains and all this and like, yes, we just want to hoard these vaccines, fuck all the other countries, we don't give a shit. I'm pretty sure they're like, they have ample reason, considering that out of the 4 test trials here didn't really have that many cases. I'm sure like they're probably taking that into effect. I'm sure very recent or very soon they're going to like start rolling these out, because if it seems to be passed by the let me read this again, European Medical Agency and the COVID task force in Europe, I'm pretty sure we're going to come to find the same results. I just think they're being extra careful since we're producing it.
Okay, Katarana, Ninetales,
relatively
and,
fair.
Doobie, then Venom.
Yeah, so we're not producing it.
Oh, we're not? My bad.
No. And also, I just wanted to, the whole idea that like, but Cambridge did it, so it must be good. Like that's so stupid. Like at one point we used to do lobotomies because other like big institutions did it. Like just because it like is considered like to be like good by the highest institutions doesn't mean that it's going to be perpetually good by all institutions. And just because big smart man with big brain at Cambridge said big good, like they're wrong all the time. That's the whole thing about science. People are always wrong. You need to do. There's a reason why we do peer reviews in science. That's why I can't publish a paper if no one reads it, because people need to actually check to see if I'm not just writing pure nonsense on a piece of paper. So
Yes,
this is part of the peer review process. And
you understand there's like a reasonable level of evidence before we just accept something as okay, right? And if like fucking Oxford, Germany, France, Italy are going, yeah, I'm okay with this, let's roll it out. I think that's enough evidence for me.
It's arrived by data. It's arrived by the correct result. It's not arrived by via consensus.
Yeah, and
yes, but these are doing it. Like they're doing their own clinical trials. They're doing their own testing, and they all agree. They all think it's fine.
Yeah, but they're doing
Denmark,
it
Norway,
relative to
Austria
their
also disagree.
This doesn't change anything.
Yes, it does, because not everybody's health situation in a given nation is the
Go ahead,
same.
Katarana.
Yeah, okay, so like all I'm saying is that like, okay, so it would be cool if everybody was going ahead and doing it and everyone was getting great results, but some people are calling it back. Some people are recalling. If it was unanimous and everyone was having a great time, and then I would be able to say maybe America's just being extra for no reason, but some people are recalling it. I think we still need to do peer reviewing. As I said, I can't publish a paper if a bunch of people don't read it. And if people read my paper and they don't get the same results, I can get unpublished. And this is part of the process. This is part of the scientific community. You need to go ahead and people go ahead and test. Just because the UK did their test and it came back good doesn't mean that everybody kicks up their feet now and says, oh, okay, well, Britain said it was cool. And it doesn't care. It doesn't matter if it's just Germany. Same thing happens to, if I go ahead and write a paper and Bill Nye says it's good and, Neil deGrasse Tyson said it was good, but some other guy said it's not, that means I need to go back to the chopping block. That's part of science.
I'm sorry to cut other people off here, but like this is like missing one big thing. So these other countries are doing their tests and they are coming up with the same results, right? Germany said like, oh, we're not sure about it. And then they went back on it like pretty fucking quickly, right? And secondly, It's the alternative, right? So what's the alternative? So you've got this massive scientific consensus in Europe, and we're all going like, yeah, we think this is okay. We're okay with this vaccine going out. And America's going, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to wait for 100,000 more deaths before I accept the fucking validity of the all of Europe telling me it's okay. The alternative is letting more people die. That, like, what I'm saying is that we trust like a fucking shit ton of institutions that agree that this vaccine is okay, and fucking go ahead with it to stop people dying now, rather than these like speculative deaths of maybe the vaccine will cause this.
Okay, so we'll go to
choice, just like Pascal highlighted. There is a worse choice. I'm sorry, sir.
No problem. I'll go to Ninetales, then DB, and then Venom.
Yeah, just going to quickly address what KOE said. Your oxygen mask analogy was absolute crap. We're still able to distribute. Okay. Sure. Well, I'm just going to point out to the audience why we can still distribute the vaccine despite having the virus. So just getting the virus isn't a reason to like hoard the vaccine. As much as we like to say that this isn't about American exceptionalism, I see a big divide in what people are saying is regarding scientific method, and then we take this huge leap to, well, now it's American scientific method that we need to go by, and that's fine. Like if you have reason to believe that it's better than the rest of things, then you go ahead with that. That's still American exceptionalism, and I still think it has a cost to the world global health scene. Finally, there may be like problems with the vaccines. There always have been. We have released enough of other types of other similar vaccines to assume that there aren't intrinsic health costs to the type of vaccine itself, but more so like the medium we're working with. So we don't want to assume that we still need the standards that we had 30 years ago for a new type of technology that we have for a well-developed and research technology. And finally, sorry, I just want to point out that a lot of these recalls are just single batches that seem to have gone bad or like cannot be confirmed to be good. They're not recalling the actual vaccine, except for, I'm sure, in some cases.
Well, Doobie, and then Venom. And also we have half the round is already over. So just so you know, we got 19 minutes left. So get in here if you haven't done so already. So go ahead, Doobie.
So I think it'd make more sense to like jerk off the brain stems at Oxford if we didn't have multiple countries in Europe and Asia now suspending use of this vaccine because it could be tied to blood clots. So it seems like there isn't as much of a consensus. This has been presented thus far, and I think it makes sense for the U.S. to do its own testing. Secondly, getting beyond like questions about the efficacy of the vaccine and not the testing and who should test and all this, I've been listening to you all for a while now, and I haven't heard a single convincing case made for why the U.S. should give up any of our stockpile vaccines for any fucking reason to anyone else before our people are vaccinated, before we have the conditions here under control, before our population is able to walk outside without fucking masks on. Why should, while we're trying to get to that place, why should we give up anything to anybody, right? So we don't owe other countries our vaccines, right? And beyond that, it seems like some of you are saying that there's like a human right to this vaccine. Is there a human right to like not get the flu? I don't fucking think so, right? So let's say we got to that position, right, where the U.S. was vaccinated, easily accessible, not an issue anymore. How do you then take the next step to say that we owe these other countries this vaccine and we should give it to them for free because it's our duty to do so? I can understand the argument that it's like beneficial to us for COVID not to be a problem anymore. So hey, maybe we should work to get these other countries vaccinated for that reason. But even in that situation, that doesn't then lead to, we should give it to them for free. It seems like we should give it to them for something, whether it's influence, money, something, right? We don't owe these people anything.
Oh yeah, it's super easy for me. Like all you have to consider is that the US isn't going to get rid of the pandemic by itself. It's a global effort.
Holy shit, have you seen the stats on these blood clots? Have you seen the stats? Do you know how many vaccines have been administered, right? It's like hundreds of millions. Do you know how many blood clots have been afterwards? 30.
Well, yeah, I understand that, Spoon, but the issue is that given that this is like this isn't like Twitch people making the decisions to suspend the vaccines, right? It's doctors, it's health professionals in Sweden and Denmark and Norway and Asian countries, right? Professionals who know what the fuck they're talking about that are saying, hey, these blood clots might be a problem. We need to suspend the vaccines, right? They're making that decision, right? So I trust them more than I trust you.
No, like I said, the major scientific bodies don't do it. I just posted a link in Twitch chat. The WHO doesn't back this. The CDC doesn't back this. This is not like a banked consensus that it's unsafe. There's
Symptoms
sounds like
take
there
a
is
lot
30
longer because sometimes
30
vaccine symptoms
cases.
don't manifest for years later. So that's why U.S.
30
trials for
cases.
vaccines take so much longer. Because if we're already getting 30 cases on the front end, I think it's very much on the FDA to make sure that they know if there's going to be 30, 50, 500 more on the back end or not. And so I would
Like
be
if years
much
can happen later, then
much
you'll never
happier to
know that. You also need you need an infected population to test the sample on the final phases. So therefore, trial uses are what you do. So like, how far do we wait if the years can be into
why we're doing the clinical trials now.
Yeah, but I don't agree
That
with
was
you
Operation
about the
Warp
30-year thing. The 30-year thing is a little weird. You can't wait
I was
30
saying
years to administer the vaccine.
saying it
If
was
that's what you're saying,
3
sorry
to
if
5
I'm...
years. No, I'm saying that some of the symptoms show up 3
That's
to 5 years
still,
after, which
even
is why
still,
we normally have so long with our vaccine trials, and that's why Operation Warp Speed, as Trump called it, really did move this vaccine faster than any in our modern history. So the fact that the FDA is trying to make a little bit of a second look, it's like you always say when you're doing carpentry, measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, no.
So what if
the
Europeans were even better at warp speed, and so Trump, they just did the same thing as Trump, and therefore all those trials are just as good, and the U.S. is just slower. So I'm just wondering, like, where does the American standard for science prove to you something that Europe hasn't already proven?
It's known that it's the most thorough standard of drug testing in all the world is America's. It's already well known.
Oh, and you said it wasn't exceptionalism.
I'm not
Wait,
sure about that. Venom's waiting very patiently. Go Venom, Pastel, then we'll go to Drew.
Yeah, so I'm actually amazed because the levels of skepticism happening are reaching anti-vax levels. I'm 100% with Spoon on this case. Like this is actually reaching when going way far beyond the fucking expected skepticism. Show fucking blood clots. Are you fucking serious? Like here in Brazil, 2,000 people are dying a day. If 500 people died out of a blood clot,
there's more chance. There's more chance you die in a plane crash. There's more chance you die in a plane crash than from the vaccine.
I got to clarify. Did you just call the health professionals in Denmark and Norway and Sweden that decided not to suspend this vaccine? Did you just call them like anti-vaxxers? Is that what you just said?
No, Dobby. I'm saying the rhetoric.
Holy shit, everybody!
I'm saying that the rhetoric here is anti-vax, and besides, if you trust sovereign nations to make good decisions about their own nations, then let them decide if they want to take the vaccine or not, and give them the fucking surplus that you have. Holy shit, it's not that hard. If you really use making the argument that because these other nations are skeptic of vaccines, then like the nations that are skeptic not take it, and other nations that accept the vaccine take it. And we don't need confirmation by the USA in order for sovereign nations that want the vaccine to take the vaccine.
Sure. Right? Hold on. Nobody's making that argument. So, nobody's saying that nobody else can use this vaccine unless the U.S. approves it. We're saying that people here are saying that you should only give the fucking vaccine. What people are saying is that the U.S. should do its own testing, make its own determination, and then once they do their testing, if they're satisfied with that testing, then they can use it, right? And beyond that, I think there's like this I think there's like a disconnect, right? Because I think what you're saying is that because the testing has already happened in these other countries and they're willing to use this vaccine, the U.S. now should now give them our stockpile or portions of our stockpile, right? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would we do that if we're currently going through testing? We might be able to use this vaccine in a few months.
Why is the U.S. so good at not helping get rid of the pandemic?
I'm saying give the surplus, right? Like as far as I'm aware, the U.S. has actually been done a banger of a job at securing vaccines, right? It has more vaccines secured than almost any other nations in the world. So you have a surplus, right? And if the problem is that you don't think you have a surplus, then that's a completely different argument, yeah? I'm just saying that the argument that you shouldn't give vaccines because you haven't finished your clinical trials, like those two things aren't connected at all, right? That's an argument for using on your own nation, and that's fine.
So
that's perfectly fine.
Let's go to Pastel, then Pastel, and then Drew.
Interesting stats.
Pastel and Drew.
So I put in chat earlier that as of Thursday, France, Germany, Italy, and Poland have used less than half of their vaccine doses on stock, according to the data from the European Center of Disease Prevention and Control. So should we be calling upon them to also be giving away all their vaccines, even though some of those countries are also being a little bit skeptic about the health problems? I'm more arguing the fact that America should be doing its tests just because there seems that there could be concern, and if they come to the same conclusions that everyone else is, then just give them away. I don't care. But
Nobody's saying to give away all the stocks, though, right? We're just saying to give to not sit on it
Give
and
away
then
some
like
of it.
disproportionately
And again,
accumulate
you
more.
can sell the vaccine instead of giving. I don't give a shit. Like just fucking open the
Okay.
fucking.
Yeah,
John,
but
it
if
says
these,
on the chat, it says
if,
the part. They're
if
all
these
just
people are
One person at a
All
time.
right, don't worry, I got it. Thanks.
These-
Don't worry. Go ahead.
if
There's
these
something
people are
really important I
concerned,
have
why
to
shouldn't they
mention.
just do their own tests? Like that
There's
seems
something really
pretty
important.
reasonable to me.
That needs to be mentioned. These vaccines have like a shelf life, right? So if you've got like, let's say 10 million vaccines, and the vaccines go off within a week, and you can only administer 5 million vaccines, why not give away the other 5 million to somewhere else where they could administer them, right? If you've got surplus based on the rate that you can get them out, why not give them away? Other than that, I actually agree with Doobie. I don't know if you've ever played like a video game, right? You need to set up like a home base. You need to set up like a strong place where you can actually start treating it from that place. If you've got surplus, give it away. There's no reason to stockpile it. You just be letting it go off. Other than that, yeah, you should be treating the America nation first.
Yeah, I just have a very simple question to all the people that are like anti-clinical trial here for some reason. Why are American scientists?
Let him.
That's
let him
nobody
finish.
hears anti-clinical
Let-
trials.
I mean, okay,
finish.
okay.
Holy
Let me
shit.
finish. Let me finish. Why are American scientists saying we need these clinical trials, and why don't you trust them?
I've got a great answer for this, right? So, like I said, we've had hundreds of millions of vaccines so far, right? Hundreds of millions. And there's been 30 cases of blood clots, and apparently there's no link to the virus. So, like, the scientific consensus is very in favor of this. Secondly, 30 in 200 million, let's say, right? We don't know exactly how many vaccines, but it's pretty fucking high. You've got more chances of dying from a lightning strike, 1 in 13
Not what I
million.
asked, by the way.
You've got more chances of dying in a plane crash,
That
1 in
was
11
not-
million.
you-
control group, and you
this-
know
you've
it.
got-
That's
this-
very
you've got-
disingenuous.
Let him finish.
You've
This
got
is-
more
this-
chance of
That was
dying.
the control group,
Let
and you
him
know
finish.
it.
Hold on, Drew.
You've
You
got
want
more
a
chance.
response? Let him respond. Go
You've
ahead.
got more chance from dying by a shark attack. You are more likely to be killed by a shark attack, a plane crash, or a lightning strike than you are by this vaccine. Okay, based on the clinical trials that we currently have, based on the rate of death for the amount of vaccines that we have out. The kind of like the idea that we need more scientific testing on something that is killing 30 in hundreds of millions of people is ridiculous, and it's definitely just American exceptionalism. There's absolutely no fucking reason to do this. This is just literally putting off saving people's lives. There's no reason to be doing this.
Okay,
Drew,
so okay,
before you
okay,
talk
wait,
about
wait,
bullshit,
no,
before-
no,
before
no,
you get into
I'm
this bullshit,
responding.
Drew
I'm
was gonna
responding.
speak.
I'm responding. I'm
Drew was
responding.
going to speak.
I'm responding. Look, so your theory is that there's a bunch of scientists here in America that are American exceptionalists, and they're like, you know what? Fuck the world. We're going to do our own clinical trials. This is your theory about American scientists. This is why they want to do clinical trials.
I
Your
think there's
theory is that
probably like
people are anti. Never mind.
I think there's probably monetary interest there. I think there's probably skepticism there, and I think all of it is completely unwarranted.
Okay. So what we want to do is we want to trust scientists, except the American scientists. They're all dirty, like greedy fuckers and American
Holy shit,
exceptionalists.
how come you can only do straw man? Are you only able to do straw man?
What is literally what he just said.
Literally
what he just said.
Exceptionalism
One at a
earlier.
time.
That's not.
So, okay, Spoon, you can respond. Then I want to hear from Catalano.
They can do the trials, right? But they can do the trials alongside the rollout, right? If the fucking testing is good enough for the rest of the world, I don't see why it's not good enough for America. And if you really fucking want to stick to your guns to do these trials, do it alongside the rollout, right? If you find anything in that time, which you fucking won't, 30 and hundreds of millions, then you can bring it up with fucking whoever the fuck you like.
Generally, scientific ethics are such that you do clinical trials before you release a fucking vaccine.
Yeah, and they have been done.
One person talk at a time.
Hi. Okay. So every country has their different like ethics. From each country, they have different guidelines that you need to go ahead and pass before you're able to release things. That's just kind of the way it is. I know it's inconvenient. I know there's a pandemic. I know everyone wants their vaccines right now, but like it's as I guess I can say it in circles and circles, it's not a good idea for science to go ahead and say, you know what, we're not going to pass our usual standards this time because everyone wants it now. Because there's going to be something else in 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. Who knows? There's going to be another pandemic. And like, it's never a good precedent to just say, we're not going to use the standards that we've had set. The standards that we had set for a reason. They must have set them for a reason. So yeah, like that's just the way the things goes. Just like no one's gonna be mad at Canada for like not passing their laws in a certain way because the American political system goes one way. So why isn't that not done yet? Like there's different rules in different countries. That's just the way things go.
Because different countries have different countries don't have the exact same health like homogenously across the globe, right?
Yes,
like,
of course, and all these different countries have different regulations.
Yeah. Like
okay,
ignoring
the claim isn't that we're mad. The claim isn't that we're mad.
Hold on.
The claim is it was a detriment.
Whoa, let Layman in. He doesn't have a chance to speak. Layman, then Doobie.
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of move off of this blood clot thing. I think there's like a lot better things to focus on because I don't think it's just like the blood clot thing. I know that seems like a slam dunk argument and stuff, and it is, and I don't disagree with you, Dancing Spoon. But my issue is that like not every nation. I want people to like respond to this just because I'm curious about it, out of sick curiosity. The idea that every nation, there's probably a reason why they all have different standards of like scientific ethics and stuff. And that reason is probably rooted in the idea that each nation tends to have different health circumstances relative to that given nation. Not identical, there's obviously trends, but in the United States in particular, I'm open to hearing like why the scientific community there is playing out more trials as they are, because their health situation is a lot worse than a lot of other European and Western countries and stuff like that. So I want to hear like a response.
Doobie, and then Ninetales.
Yeah, I'm just like a little baffled, because I think what people are saying in terms of like America doing their testing seems reasonable, right? America wants to do its own testing, but to say that the reason that's the case is because like they're on the level of anti-vaxxers, or they're like it's American exceptionalism, when Italy, Denmark, Thailand, Norway, Iceland, Bulgaria, like all these other countries have also suspended these vaccines. I doubt they're doing it because of American exceptionalism, right? It seems like they have concerns. They want to do further testing before they push this out to their populations. I think it's totally reasonable.
But Doobie, America bad.
I agree.
What do you mean? America bad.
Like, I didn't know that there were American exceptionalists in fucking Bulgaria. Like, maybe, I guess. It just seems...
Okay, well,
Yeah, and Luxembourg and like Norway. Who would have guessed?
Like, going off the rails just proves that you can't keep up. Nobody's saying that America's system is worse or better than anybody else's. We're not saying that, American exceptionalism is inherently the issue. That was something I was pointing out for people like KOE Nation. What we're pointing out is when you sit on a bunch of doses of vaccines and you could treat the rest of the world, but you won't because of your own arbitrary standards, your own potentially self-serving standards. I'm going to tell you right now, the American pharmaceutical complex and the scientific testing system very much collude together and are corrupt. So you can't say that it's not. It's very self-serving.
What's wrong with
so we're not saying that American exceptionalism is a problem. We're just saying that all the institutions are corrupt.
So the American pharmaceutical system So the American pharmaceutical system is perfect and doesn't influence research at all, ever.
No, fuck
no institution is perfect.
Okay, great. Okay, so we moved past that. We've moved past that because it's still not even the point. The point is that it's detrimental. It's detrimental to be protectionist and self-serving when you could help the rest of the world and actually deal with the pandemic. America just wants high scores in this shit. I swear to God.
The amount of question begging, the amount of question begging going on here. Look, we need to do the trials to make sure they're safe. You're assuming America has it. You are presupposing in your idea that we should just dole out these vaccines everywhere that we have decided we're safe.
I never.
Yes, you are.
Hold on. Doobie.
Okay. So, first off, I think it's totally fine for the U.S. government to be self-serving. I want my government, right? The thing that is in place, that exists to protect me, right, and my family, my community. I want them to be self-serving. I want them to serve Americans, right, not other countries. I think it's totally fine, right? If after serving ourselves, we can help other people in a way that benefits us, sure, why not? So that's number one. But again, you guys keep speaking as if there's like this massive surplus that we can just give these out to people. We don't have a surplus right now, right? We won't have enough vaccines to treat everybody in this country until like May 1st. I think they're projecting right now. They're going to try to do it by May 1st. So it's just not true that we have enough to treat everybody, and there's massive stockpile that we're sitting on that we can just toss around the world.
Is
Right?
America not continuously producing vaccines?
Okay.
Yes, those are for us. Like, what's wrong with that?
Continuously producing vaccines, then you'll still be
the
producing
argument-
vaccines when you clear the use of them.
Spoon.
So
Oh, Spoon had been passed out.
like, sorry, just to go back to this, right? Let's just say, right, that the most trusted institutions on the planet, the best science in the world, was wrong by an
Mayo
error
Clinic.
margin of fucking 1,000%, right? By the way, error margins usually are about 2% at
Yeah.
most, right? They were wrong by 1,000%, right?
Yeah.
I'm steel manning the fuck out of your argument here, right? And they distribute a vaccine to everybody in America, all 331 million people, right? You kill 1,000 people.
Again, Spoon, like I said earlier, I'm trusting the experts on this. I'm not going to trust you. I'm
You
sorry.
kill 1,000. The experts
so
are
if-
saying
no,
that
no,
the
hold on.
experts.
Some
If the
experts-
experts
Statistic is
No,
wrong.
some
were
experts-
I'm
1,000,
sorry. That
If
wasn't
the
the size of
experts-
this control group, and you
Spoon,
know
okay,
it. So
no,
your
okay,
statistic
no,
is
listen.
wrong.
Okay,
no, the control
every-
group I'm taking.
Spoon,
the
again,
control
some
group I'm
experts are
taking-
saying that.
Let's
There's
Spoon.
not a
Let's
They're
consensus on
amortizing
that.
that to millions of people.
Let
That was the
Spoon
size of the
finish.
control
Let
group.
Spoon finish,
Wait,
guys. Let Spoon finish.
wait, stop. Spoon did pause, and Doobie was responding. So Doobie, you can respond to whatever Spoon was saying.
Okay.
So Spoon, some experts are saying this is okay, right? But it's also the case that other experts that exist in other countries, right, have made the determination that they need to suspend the use of this vaccine and do more testing, right? So all you're saying is that you trust these experts and not those experts, and you're
That's
saying
not
we
what
should
I'm
trust
saying.
your experts
That's what you're
and not the
doing
experts.
too.
And all no, that's not true. You're saying that we should trust these experts to make the determination for the entire planet, right? What we're saying is that a country should be able to say, hey, we want to do our own testing, as these other countries have been doing, right? And as it seems the U.S. wants to do, right? I don't think there's any reason for us to just trust that these
So like
experts, these specific experts are right, and the experts in Iceland and Norway and fucking Thailand are not right.
And
So-
that's the round. All right, that's the first round. The straw poll is already in chat. Now, remember, what you're going to be doing is voting for which of these wonderful individuals you're going to keep, not kick. Keep, not kick. So we're going to go down the line, make sure everyone knows who is who, because we're not using whereby right now. So, DB, raise your webbed hand. That's DB right there. Next is Drew. Raise your hand. Next, Katarana. All right, there you go. KOE. Fantastic. I don't think you can forget KOE. Layman. All right, Ninetails. Pastel. Spoon. And my not a mod, Venom. Okay, everyone, you're gonna be voting for whoever you're going to be voting for whoever you want to stay. Okay, the person you want to stay, you want to keep, not kick. Keep, not kick. Don't vote for the person you don't want to be here, because then they're gonna be here. So vote for the person you want to stay. Right? And I will put my timer on. I didn't forget to do that. Yeah, we got 5 minutes for voting. 5 minutes for voting. Hurry up, vote now. Don't complain at me later when your favorite person gets knocked off. Oh, I voted just now. Well, it's too late. You voted after the buzzer. So none of that bullshit, okay? Right now, vote. Right now, vote. If you're enjoying this content, if you're new here, do me a favor, hit that follow button, hit that notification bell, so you know I'm going live. We do this 6 days a week. This is our Primetime Royale game show type thing. If you're enjoying this, I really hope you are. Yes, hit that follow button. But of course, we have more. We have our Reverie panel that's on Monday, Amazon Lily panel that's on Tuesday. We have our All Black Everything panel that's on Thursday, and then on 6 days a week, 6 weeks, we have these open walk-on panels where audience members like you, yes, you, may participate. Please hit that follow button, hit that notification bell if you hadn't done so far. We have a lot of content here, and if you're really enjoying it, please consider supporting the stream with a donation or a sub. So if you haven't not subbed to the channel yet, please sub to the channel. $5, keep this content going and growing. $5, please, to help out this channel. If you're not currently subbed, please sub. If you can donate, please donate to keep this channel alive. But yes, once again, vote in the straw poll. Straw poll is out right now. Individuals in my panel here, how y'all feeling?
I feel great. Y'all are all great.
I'm
I'm
doing
glad.
alright.
Yeah.
Now, just got one question. So you're saying that $5 is all you're asking to support this incredible community here at the Prime K's Twitch stream? Just $5. That's all. Like, I mean, think of all the ways that you've wasted $5 on stupid decisions in your lives, folks. I mean, $5 little dollars. Think of all the value you get from this community. Just think of that.
Yeah,
I love you
exactly.
all, even though I yelled a lot.
I
Same
completely
thing,
agree.
yeah.
I second.
Every last one of you had amazing takes, and even the ones that I disagree with, it was actually a really good, spirited debate. And yeah, I really enjoyed the thunder and the fire that was brought by every last one of you.
Yeah, everyone, please vote. The link is in my Twitch chat. If you want to vote, you want your favorite person to be here, then time to vote right now. We have less than 3 minutes left. Vote right this moment, or you're gonna get disappointed. You're gonna get pissed off, right? And then you're gonna send me a message, and I'm not gonna give a shit. You know how that dance goes. So I'm telling you now, vote for your favorite. The link is in Twitch chat. We'd love to have you be a part of this. This is like, you know, real democracy, not the democracy that you usually ignore in your own goddamn countries. So this one actually matters. Vote right now. Okay, so yeah.
Don't vote in real life. Just vote on this panel.
Damn
So
right.
Don't vote for like any
Yeah.
candidate. Nobody local, nobody federal, nobody.
Your vote has a lot more impact. Trust me.
I was surprised.
Only Twitch politics matter.
Drew,
I was
We're not
surprised.
friendly online at all.
Drew?
No.
I was surprised at how little disagreement there was within political orientations on this panel. I don't think that you could actually tell which position people were going to take, decide, like considering their political position, which I thought was interesting too. It was really interesting, yeah.
Couldn't help it. I had to bring up the South Park because it was just like, oh, this is too perfect. And like, I just want a shot. Give me a shot. And it was like, oh, everybody's like, come on. And it's like all the world is like outside the America Walgreens. Like, come on, give me a shot, man. Come on. And like, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. It was too funny. I do apologize to my non-American brothers and sisters and comrades and friends, but it was, the door was open. The joke was there. I had to walk through and take it. I'm sorry.
And I would also like to formally state that just because I don't scream at the top of my lungs with an American flag behind me, I'm still a conservative. Just for everybody that's wondering right now, like I actually.
Yeah.
You can kind of figure out some of my politics.
Yeah, that's a pretty well tread aesthetic there with that American flag. Maybe you change it up. Like, what about a UN flag? Wouldn't that be fun? Right? Like a
man.
No. Old Glory is too beautiful. Also, this is my daughter knows I love Godzilla, and so she painted.
You're talking about some globe head shit?
Yeah, nah. Old Glory is good enough for me.
Triple parentheses. Globe head. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Everybody.
I used to have so many flags in my apartment, but when I moved in with my girlfriend, it was just not happening. So, like, I don't think that the Texas flag, the American flag, the Come and Take It flag, and the Gadsden flag were all going up in my girlfriend's apartment. So, I think that it's probably it's unfortunate that I don't have one hanging these days, but it's all right.
Okay, all right. So thanks so much, everyone. Someone dropped, I don't know who, but they'll be back, I'm sure. Yeah, so we're gonna jump into the elimination round. I'm gonna put on spooky music. Oh, ooh, wow.
Oh,
it's
no.
Suspenseful. Do you hear that? If not, let me turn off the other thing. Okay, maybe that'll help. All right. Ooh, who's gonna be thrown out? All right. So, looking at the results, and don't blame me if you didn't vote. That's your problem, not my problem. All right. Ooh, coming in hot. We have at the very top Pastel Dallas. Pastel Dallas No, she's not here. Okay.
Rest in peace.
Well, great. Hopefully she's back soon. Anyway, Pastel Dawes at number 1. At number 2, we have our Dark Lord Doobie. That's an easy pick for me. Our Dark Lord Doobie standing at number 2. He's got a golden crown, but a silver one would make more sense right now. I'm sorry, Doobie. They don't truly recognize your greatness.
Yeah, they'll get there eventually.
Well, thank you, Praxis Blaze, for being so kind as to donate $5. Really appreciate it. And then finally, at number 3, we have Kata. Oh, hold on. Never mind. You guys, you're still voting. Nope. I told you guys should have voted before. Katarana at number 3. We're taking the bronze. Hey, I told you. Want some buzzer rings? I'll tell you. Your vote got in late. So at the bottom, we have True, Layman, and Ninetails. Ninetails had rallied at near the end, but hey, you guys got to vote faster. Okay, so we have 3 people at the bottom, and they will be up for elimination, and the 2 who will be decided by the winners, by the top 2 winners, they will be the ones taken out. So that would be, well, should be Pastel and Doobie, but Pastel's not around right now. So Doobie and Katarana, hooray, you get the vote.
Pastel's there. Did she come back? Oh, there she is.
Yeah,
she's in the sunny chat.
Okay, there it is. Okay, never mind. Hooray, great.
I don't know.
Pastel. Hey, Pastel, you're back. Great. Pastel, you were number 1. Hooray. Okay, great, amazing. Let's see the sport. So, Pastel and Doobie, what you will do now is you're going to tell me who you want eliminated of the bottom 3. And the bottom 3, again, were Drew, which breaks my heart, Layman, and Ninetails. Drew, Layman, and Ninetails. So, I'll give you quickly 30 seconds from Drew, Layman, Ninetails to state your case as to why you should stay, why you should beg Pastel and Doobie to keep you here. So, go ahead. Yes, oh my god, yes, you're number 1.
My volume, like, everything fucked up for a second, so I can hear now.
Sure, great. Alright, so, let's try it again. Drew, tell them why you should stay.
Yeah, you should allow me to stay because I think I bring good points here. I make good conversation. I've done a lot of research on one of the topics, so it's going to get nice and spicy later. Also, look at this beard. All right, just look at this for a second. Yeah,
it is a nice.
I don't need to say anything else. I rest my case.
Okay, great. Moving on, we'll go to Layman. Layman, why you should stay?
I think I should stay because I picked 2 of the topics that we were going to talk about tonight, and I was really, really excited to talk about them, and unfortunately I didn't know shit about any of the other topics, so I didn't really get to say too much, so that's one reason. Another reason is because if Drew and I are eliminated, I'm pretty sure that like everybody on here is like left wing except for like 2, and there'd be a huge asymmetry there in which arguments you get to hear from who, and it might be a little less entertaining, so that's a reason why you should keep me, and the other ones too. So.
Okay, moving on. We will have Ninetails. Ninetails, tell Pastel and Doobie why you should stay.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Prime. I hope you can come on again if I don't make it tonight. I just want to point out I'm the only one here who didn't rely on a straw man to make my arguments out of the 3 of us. So I'm clearly better at debate. Doobie, you know I'm willing to like go into your server, despite my quote unquote degeneracy. And Pastel, I love how you bring data to the table. So I'm totally happy to talk to you. I'm looking forward to talking with you on further subjects. So I hope you guys will keep me around.
Goddamn right, that's the play. You suck up to them. Okay, now Pastel and Doobie, what you will do is you will DM me. You won't say it out loud. You will DM me which of these individuals you're going to toss. Okay, send me a DM right now, not in the group DM. DM straight to me as to who you're going to toss. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Whose heart will be broken? Oh man. Yeah, because you won. That's why you, Pastel. So please. This is the burden of being the best, you know?
I didn't expect this.
Oh my god, please.
Okay. How did this? It's been interesting.
Okay, alright. Oh, wow. Okay. Alright, well then. So it is. Alright, so Doobie, what I like about Doobie is that he doesn't hesitate not for one fucking second, right? I told him to send me a DM, it was ready, he fired off immediately, and he said, fuck you, Drew, get the fuck off the panel. That's what he said, that's what he wrote, like, quote, that's what he wrote.
Yeah, Drew, I'm sorry, you're too reasonable. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh my god. Oh my god, the betrayal. I can't believe it. The twists and turns of the Primetime Royale. Alright, it's okay. Alright. Well, I love y'all. I know it got contentious. I hope y'all have a great rest of your night. I'm gonna go hang out with my girlfriend and stay hanging out with y'all, alright? So I'll see y'all later tonight.
Okay.
Bye.
See you, man.
Bye.
Guess we lost. Alright. Bye-bye, buddy. Okay, oh, also, I guess he didn't shout himself out. I think he does stream, right? Next video. So, Drew LT, if he does stream, which I'm pretty sure he does, go check him out. Alright, so, next, the other person to get eliminated, oh, that sucks, it burns. Ninetales Pastel betrayed you. She did not take kindly to you sucking up to her. Maybe that was not to play. I don't know. Well, I've never done this before. That's all up to you guys. So, Ninetales, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you being here. What do you have to say to the audience and maybe to Pastel in particular?
Nothing to Pastel. It's okay. Yeah, I had fun. I did a lot more prep on the other topics, so this is unfortunate. But you know, you'll see me around on the open panels probably tonight, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. My YouTube will be in the chat in a second.
Yes, absolutely.
have a good
Also, I
night,
know I yelled at
everybody.
you a lot, Ninetales, but it was nice talking to you.
YouTube, yeah. Same with everybody here. Good night.
Good night.
Canada.
I feel terrible. What the heck? Chat, do not vote me to win again, please. I can't take it.
You heard her. Don't vote for her. That's what she said.
Wait,
just
never mind.
now.
I take it back.
No,
Vote
no,
for me.
that's what she said. Don't vote for her anymore. Got it. Great. All right.
Votes go to KOE now.
He called it. He called it. I don't know what to tell
We have a no givesies backsies rule.
you. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. All right. So, topic number 2. Oh, I should turn off this booking music because they're already gone. Oh well. And back to the happy music. All right, moving on. So, topic 2. Biden and the Democrats were very critical of the Trump administration's handling of the migration issues at the U.S.-Mexico border. Biden ran on the platform of promising a more humane approach for those fleeing poverty and/or violence in Central America to seek entry into the country. Currently, the Biden administration has been dealing with a surge of migration at the U.S.-Mexico border amid the global pandemic and related restrictions on capacity. The recent events have led to the opening of facilities Trump had once been criticized for utilizing. Are you a proponent for the actions of the Biden administration in regards to the regional migration situation? So yeah, are you a proponent of Biden's immigration policy as it stands now with the coming surge of individuals? All right, 35 minutes left on the clock. Jump on it. Anyone?
No one? Okay.
Okay, all right.
Hey, I have a question. Okay, so I understand the typical lefty nonsense. Oh, the kids in cages. Who gives a fuck, right? What I'm wondering is like, what's the alternative, right? So we have all these people coming to the border. They're declaring themselves refugees and shit. What do you do with these people? What do you do with these children, many of whom are unaccompanied? Like, do you just put them into foster care? Do you put them up in a hotel somewhere? Do we take over hotels and fill them full of legal immigrants? Like, what do you do with these fucks?
Foster care
I actually
sucks,
fully agree with
but it
you.
would probably be better to put them in some kind of social service. I
Fortunate
think.
reality that we
Even
find
though it still
ourselves in.
sucks.
I'm sorry, but what we find ourselves in, I call this a modern day Othello. It is a tragedy no matter which way you look at it. Because what we have, nobody likes the idea of kids in cages. Nobody likes that. But this is the adult analysis. And because sometimes adult decisions require that you're not going to have a perfect outcome, you have to choose a less bad outcome. And the thing is, the reason we're doing this is not because we like it. It's not because we want it. It's not because we're malicious. The reason this is being done is because it implies there is a worse choice we can make. And that worst choice looks something like this: releasing minor children to people that we have no idea who they are, potentially child sex traffickers. That is the worst choice. That is a reason we are doing this. And Joe Biden finds himself in a very precarious position here because he really only has two choices. He can continue more or less, and he's even reopening facilities that Trump was criticized for. He can either continue what Donald Trump was already doing, or he can fail. Those are really his only two choices. And again, it's not, we don't like this. Nobody likes that this is happening. But the fact that it is happening implies that there is a much worse choice that we can make. And so, yes, it's bad. Yes, it's terrible. It is a tragedy every single time. But the horrors that we could be unleashing if we don't do so, I'm sorry that this is one of those that we have a worse set of choices, and the one that we're doing is the least bad, unfortunately. And I yield to you people.
Yeah, I
All you
completely agree.
beautiful people.
I'm not really sure what else we could be doing. The foster care system, I believe now, this is the topic I've done the least research on, but isn't it already like having like financial issues like just across the nation? So putting these kids in a foster system, I don't even think is like a better alternative. Maybe I'd have to see empirical data, and I don't think we just have any. I think like just doing what we're doing now until we can figure out a better situation, especially in the midst of COVID, I think is probably the best solution we got. Unless anyone else literally can provide any empirical data otherwise, I'm 100% willing to change my position. But I 100% agree with the last two people. What we're doing right now, I think, is best.
Go ahead, Katarina.
Yeah, so Biden's only been like in office for a couple of weeks. I'm pretty sure he wasn't expecting to have like this big explosion of refugee children. So like there was really not that much like of an alternative in terms of like how to deal with the problem, especially when it's already like on the doorsteps of your border when you've only been in office for 6 weeks. So honestly, like I guess this was the most feasible thing to do suddenly when you end up having a bunch of people at the border. I mean, sure, I think in a non-COVID context, I would have a lot more to complain about, but since it is once again COVID, I can't really think of too much better. But you know, at the end of the day, my favorite pastime is telling Biden that he's bad. So Biden's still bad, but you know.
Yeah, I just got to be clear. Like, I do have like some gripes with this. Mostly that they're letting these children into the country in the first place. I think they should be turned away at the border with their fucking whoever they're traveling with. So that's really annoying. So I think taking on this issue, and then the fact that Biden and Trump have taken on this issue, chosen to let these children and the people that were accompanying them into like refugee centers, whatever the fuck. That I think we are like. It seems like they're trying to do a good thing, right, from their perspective, trying to help these people. But in doing so, it's giving like ammo to all these brainlets on the left, right, who say, "Oh God, they're in cages," and yada. Like, so it's like a catch-22. I'd prefer it if they just turn them away at the border. I don't think there's any reason to let these people into the country, especially during a pandemic. But you know, that's just me. I'm just a reasonable person.
So, Doopy, you correct me on this, but I thought they were only taking in children that are abandoned on the border. I thought that's the whole point of these.
No, my understanding, and I could be wrong. Right? It's been a while since I looked into this.
Oh God, we could both be wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'd like other people to speak out. But okay. So my understanding is that sometimes people come to the border, declare themselves as refugees, right? At these what are they called? Like there's like points along the border where you can do this, right? And that sometimes they'll have children with them that aren't like necessarily their children, right? So all these people get swept up. All these people are now being processed, right? With their refugee applications or whatever the fuck, or their asylum applications. And while that's going on, they're being put into these detention centers, and children are being separated from the adults because, again, there have been a lot of cases where adults were traveling with children that weren't theirs. Right? There have been cases where these were like sex traffickers that were caught at the border that had a bunch of children with them, right? So that's my understanding of what's happening.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate reality is that, like I said, it's unfortunate, but we need to find a way to verify everybody just so that we know who's coming over with who. If you want to talk about legality and all that kind of stuff, that's a different debate. But this is just verifying that minor children are not being subjected to some of the worst horrors imaginable in the human mind. So if we have to go through these unfortunate steps to prevent that, I think that is a valuable pursuit.
Yeah, also from what I'm seeing on being reported, it seems they are mostly taking in children who arrive unaccompanied into custody into these shelters, which I think is probably a good thing. I'd rather not turn away kids who are unaccompanied. Um, yeah, like
Well,
even if they are,
I think it'd even be fun to do that, right? If they just had all these kids showing up unaccompanied at the border, which has, there's a lot of times what parents will do, unfortunately, is there's in such desperate situations that they will send the kid over the border unaccompanied, because either hoping that they'll make it to family that's over the border, or just hoping that they'll be able to get through the asylum process right as children, right? That's something that does happen.
So,
But just really quickly, that being the case, fuck you, Sweeney, totally threw me off that spot. So yeah, I think that it makes more sense to me. There have been cases, I think Obama did this actually, where there's like this fucking influx of children at the border, right? And what Obama did, and I think in at least three of these cases, is they put them on a plane, sent them back to like Argentina or some shit, like where I forget which country it was. But they sent them back. The government officials there met them at the airport, and it was this whole fucking photo op. But yeah, just send them back. Like, I don't see an issue with that.
Right.
So to address like the kids in cages thing, it's still like pretty bad, but it is getting better, and Biden himself is actively making these better. So I can't remember what the facility is called, but there's this really big one. And it's like a caged off facility in the middle of fucking nowhere. But the kids there, they get like a bed, they get like 3 meals a day, they get 2 snacks a day, they get like as much water as they can drink, they get legal services, they get like education, recreational grounds, stuff like that. And this was never really the case beforehand, because more funding has been put into this recently. And again, it's not great that we have like kids locked up in essentially like fancy prisons on the edge of the border. But the point is, it is getting better. And generally what happens with these kids is they stay there for, I think it's the average stay is like 117 days when they're only really designed to be there for 20. So they're like staying way over their term limit. That might be wrong, but I know it's like they're staying way over in these facilities, what they're designed for. And what most of the kids do is they use the legal counselor to find a sponsor family in the US, and then that permits them to enter under that circumstance, or they get put in under refugee status, because you can't just have like a child, like let's say a 15-year-old, just go into America with no one there, right? Even as a refugee, they need some sort of like supporting structure, like a 15-year-old. So generally, they have like sponsor families and stuff like that. And furthermore, to stand Biden just a little bit more, Biden's path to citizenship makes this so much easier. Not only does this open up more sponsor families, because obviously if they're citizens, they can then be a sponsor. It also makes it like this process of like getting in much, much easier. So like overall, Biden is actually doing like a really good job of this. It is kind of a nasty job to do, but he is actually doing a good job.
yeah, I'd like to point out, speaking of like what they are doing good, they were talking about the current administration is considering having the HHS personnel workers work alongside the patrol officers, and I put this in chat earlier. I put the quote to speed up the process of releasing unoccupied children to sponsors who are typically family members, but also include foster parents. So it's not even like we're just keeping them in cages. They're actually like taking them in, and they're going to be working with the HHS to make sure that they can release these people who can properly take care of them.
So
I think that's a really great thing.
Yeah, so the ignorant shit that I said at the beginning, where I was like, hey, foster kids, it seems like I'm getting what I want there with what little I know about this topic, so that's good.
Yeah, somewhat.
Real quick,
Somewhat,
just
yeah.
a real quick one. Sneaky Debate Man Spoon, I must say, I got to give you some credit here. You have said something that I have never heard any other human's lips say, and you are the very first. And that is Biden is doing a good job. Hey, there's got to be a first. There's got to be somebody that did it first, and you're the guy.
Lots of people are saying that.
I just said that.
Okay, but you did it too.
All right, no, I see how it is.
I'm so writing with writing, baby.
It's a sprint award. It's a tie. Yeah. But it was here on the Primetime podcast where you heard that Biden is actually doing a good job. It took a while, and you're probably not going to hear it again very often.
Not universally,
unless you turn into tune into Partisan Sperm on the news. But you're here for it, folks. And
I'll defend Bud.
Okay, go ahead, Katarana.
Yeah, so I'm looking a little bit more into these facilities, and like I'm sure some are good, some aren't though. But of course, like that's the way it's going to be, especially in the current context. I think my most ideal situation would really just be if we could, and I know like the kids would have to consent to it, and some might not, and that would be a challenge. But I think we should go ahead and DNA test some of the kids so we can find their immediate family. So that we can go ahead and get them in contact. Don't keep it on the records, delete the DNA afterwards, but just because like a lot of these DNA tests, you can find like your closest immediate person in your lineage, and perhaps from there, the American government can get in touch with them. Because I just don't think it's a great idea to keep people like at the border, just kind of like in the facility. Some are good, some are bad, but like, how about just go ahead, find who their like aunt, uncle, older sister, whatever it is, and send them up with that family member, and then also keep tabs on them so that like the government is also aware of where they sent them, and make sure that you're following up and saying like, hey, so can you find out what happened to this kid's parents so that we can get more of the story. And like, I know it's expensive. We can't pay for 23andMe for like 4,000 kids, but still, I just think that would be my more ideal situation if we could just like send them with their family in other parts of the country.
That's been suggested before. Actually, it has been suggested during the Trump administration. Like that was, I remember reading reports at the time, but I would have to like search for which report in particular. I think it was on this stuff. But it's basically like the idea of like supported community placement. It would have to be like organizations built around like community support. It will probably need they already exist to a certain extent in the US, but they need like some sort of government funding in order for them to actually like operate, because it's not quite like foster care, right? Because we're talking about like community organizations that take care of these children. Until the government decides whatever they're going to do with it. And honestly, looking into this sort of like migration search, because that was on the question, right? I don't think it's quite correct to say that like, oh, Biden couldn't have expected this, because as far as I'm aware, like after every presidency change on the US, there's always a migration surge. So it's like this was to be expected by the Biden administration. And the fact that there weren't like measures in place, or at the very least, he didn't advocate for measures to take place between the presidencies. It seems to me like he was just kind of like using the child in cages as a bludgeoning to hit Trump with, but he wasn't really willing to take a radically different approach.
Kaylee?
Happens with a lot of U.S. presidents. But I just wanted to say, now, Katarana, I was agreeing with you so much on the last topic, and it's unfortunate that we've come to a crossroads here on this one, because I think that just like, even if you're crossing a border illegally, I don't think that entails having some sort of invasive medical procedure being inflicted on you. Like now, if I may, I understand what you're saying with the gathering of DNA, but man, when you're starting to gather people's DNA, libertarian like me gets a little queasy at the mere idea of it. And also in terms of they'll delete it. Governments never delete data of any kind. It can and will be used against you in a court of law if it can at all be used against you in a court of law.
That's not true.
Wait, hold on, McKay. Why? I don't understand.
I should have.
So hold on. That. So I had this conversation with like my friends.
Oh wait, I get you, Layman.
God.
I see what you
go ahead, Doobie, please.
So like I think it was like last year or the year before, I did like a 23andMe test, right, where they took my DNA or whatever the fuck and gave me like my ancestry or whatever. And some of my friends said, oh God, you're giving your DNA to this corporation, they're gonna sell it. Well, first off, like sell it to who? Secondly, if they did, like, what are they going to do with it? Are they make clones of me? That'd be pretty. I'd actually like clones of me, right? I think of fucking myself all the time. That'd be pretty awesome, right? So I'm wondering, like, what are you afraid of, right? Are you afraid that if you were to like go out and murder somebody, right, they're going to catch you? Yeah, sure. I mean, that seems like a good thing, right? If that's the issue, if that's the worry, like they did with the Golden State Killer, I think that's actually how they found him. If you're worried that, hey, there's gonna be some kind of database where they can check people's DNA and compare it to like rapes and murders and shit, that seems like a good thing. I think we should be able to be a DNA about a database if that's the case. Like, why are you afraid of that?
We already kind of do that to a certain extent for like people with criminal records. Like we have like data that like it's physiologically verifiable for them, for criminals. So it's like it's not a big jump. It's not a big leap from one thing to the other.
Let's go to Pastel, then Spoon, then
So
Catarano.
for Venom Jesus about the surge of immigration, yes. So we do see some every time an administration changes, but this time it was more than expected. So we were prepared for a surge. We weren't prepared for such a large surge. So I think what you said was a bit like an unfair way of characterizing it. Secondly, I'm also reading that the Health and Human Services is also allowed to pay for unoccupied children's travel expenses, and they're trying to get more beds and better like quality in these shelters. So like again, I want to say what Biden's doing here seems pretty fucking good. Like he's really stepping up to get the HHS to like be able to cover costs and like help the kids here, help them find family, help them find a foster home. I really don't understand what like someone could be so against this. Because
Yeah.
I'd rather like honestly, I'd rather this than just tossing them into foster care and just like say, fuck it, you deal with it on your own.
And I
You're
agree
on
with
your own,
you
kid.
Go ahead,
My
Spoon.
criticism is like just to answer to Pastelos. My criticism is just like we know there are surges right after every administration, and we know that in this particular case, like we're going directly from an administration that ran on a platform of fuck Mexicans. So it's like it wasn't this isn't like I saw like triple the number of migrant children on the border. I'm like that makes sense. Like it's something that Biden couldn't have seen coming. I think it was a failure on his part personally to not see this coming.
I'm sure he probably should have expected more, but I'm pretty sure like if we actually look at the data, which I'm trying to find right now, for some reason I'm having trouble. I think
Sure.
we're going to see like a huge spike, more than like we would see normally in the past couple administration changes. Except for maybe Obama. Like yeah, maybe we probably could have been a bit prepared, but to say like we weren't prepared at all and that they should have seen this 100% coming, I think is a little bit unfair again.
Sure, I never said 100%, but yeah, I still think he should have done more.
Spoon,
That's all.
Spoon, then Catarano.
Okay, yeah. So to address this like database idea, the problem with this is you need, the database to compare it to. Where you need to go around and fucking anal swab everyone. I don't think anybody's going to be up for that.
I think I would. Speak for yourself.
And he's up for the anal swab. Fantastic.
I'm fucking
right,
down,
and,
buddy.
like,
I'm down
and-
all the way.
And as
Hell
much as
yeah.
Doobie thinks it's a good idea, and like there's a separate argument, it's just never going to fucking pass. All right, nobody it's never going to get through the House. It's never going to get through the Senate. It's like people
Yeah.
are never going to want this. All right, it's never going to pass. It's like a pipe dream at best. Secondly,
right.
to address this like idea of the camps being good, what's the alternative? Right, a 15-year-old undocumented Spanish-speaking migrant fucking walks across the border and tries to find a job. It's not going to happen, right? They actually need facilities to integrate. They actually need to be on the books. They need opportunities, and there has to be a facility set up to do that. The quality of that facility can be improved. Like how we treat the people in these facilities can be improved, but as of yet, it's going better. All right, Biden is actively improving the system, which allows people to do this. And the alternative of having no system, or fucking driving around on trucks and shooting them at the border, is obviously worse. So as much as this seems like kids in cages, kids in like concentration camps, like the alternative is like it's still worse.
Catarana.
Yeah, so for the whole idea, when I said DNA, I meant with the consent of children. And I know people might say, okay, you can't ask someone for consent, but I believe that the majority of people that are getting through the border are like teenagers. So if someone were to explain the exact like terms and services like of the ethics, I think it would still be okay. I'm allowed to still sign things. I'm allowed to make a Facebook account at 13. So I think you should be able to go ahead and explain like what exactly the students do. Oh, sorry, what the kid is signing up for at 13. I also don't want us to go around and all up and down El Paso, Seattle, and say, hey, come get your anal swab because we're going to make sure that you don't have a family member at the border. So I know how much America loves corporations. So I was just thinking perhaps that they could go ahead and work with a database like 23andMe, see what's already on there and compare it to that. And hey, if you don't have a family member that's on there, then we go into alternative measures. I wasn't really proposing that we go and create like our own Skynet. I'm not very interested in that level of intrusion.
Do we actually need their consent? Like, why would we need to worry about their consent, given that they're basically like detainees? They're like not much better than like prisoners. Yeah, they're
That
not
was
able to
so-
move about freely, right? They
yeah,
are.
so that was some really odd phraseology, but outside of that, so people that are in Mexico are able to sign up for 23andMe, and they have to have consent to sign up for 23andMe in Mexico and in Australia and every
Yeah,
country.
but
It's not
given that they
American exclusive.
given that they violated our sovereignty, right, by
Are,
coming over the border,
we're
it
planning on
seems like
holding 13-year-olds to sovereignty laws? I mean,
yes.
yeah, sure,
Yeah, hold
sure,
on. I
man,
mean,
yeah.
Are you in
we're
favor of
no,
are you in
listen,
favor of making them all citizens too?
Am I
no.
in favor of turning me
No,
personally?
not you,
Am I?
not you, Doobie. I'm talking Doobie. I'm talking Doobie.
No, fuck no, no. I don't think so.
So why would you force them to uphold it? But if they're being forced to uphold the sovereignty, then why not just make them citizens? It's basically the same thing, right? That'd be like the right. That's literally
I
like the
don't-
rite of passage into
Yeah,
some
I-
kind
well,
of
I don't-
citizenship in a nation, right? So
I think immigration should be should be merit based, right? And I don't think that we have much to gain as a nation by letting like a bunch of unaccompanied 13-year-olds, right? So what I'm saying is that like if they are here, right, and they're in our custody because they violated our sovereignty, and we're trying to find some fucking thing to deal with them, and we're trying to see if there's some kind of family we can push them off on. It doesn't make sense to worry about their consent to like have that check happen. Like if you know we've told them they need to stay in a cage, right? We've told them where they can and cannot walk. What's wrong with taking the next steps and say, hey, you need to take this test or have this test done to you, or if they don't like, I mean, I guess if they were to like resist, we could force it. I don't give a fuck.
What's wrong
Like
is
these
the glee
people.
in your voice as you described it. That's what's really wrong.
Okay, I understand. You guys, I think what happens is you guys are used to softening your language and shit. You're used to things being, sugar-coated and shit. I'm a very direct person. I'm a very direct person, right? So I'm just talking about the reality of what we're talking about here, right? These children have violated our sovereignty. That is unfortunately the case. Or whether or not they chose to do it, maybe they were sent by their parents, and that's unfortunate, right? Their parents made that decision for them.
to be fair, children born in America violate American sovereignty all the time, but you gotta give them the opportunity to not do that, right? Because they're fucking kids.
And if we're talking about how to
Kids
handle
aren't conscious of like national sovereignty.
Please, just really quickly.
Born
What I'm
in
saying is
or
that
out of the country.
they are at the moment basically wards of the state. Right? So the state decides what happens to them. And I don't really see it as a stretch to say the state is saying that you need to have this test taken any more than I'd say, hey, the state is if they were to say you need to be vaccinated, right? Of course they should be vaccinated. We shouldn't need their consent to vaccinate them.
Well, they got to go
I
through
don't. What's the
clinical
issue?
trials first, but
Oh,
yeah.
my God,
like-
this is a separate conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not just for
Moral
not just for
equivalence
You're
of the
falling,
slightest.
Like
you're
they
falling
show
into
up
Doobie's
and
trap.
I don't know. They show up and they're from some like dirtbag country where they don't have like their vaccine shots. Of course, we should vaccinate them if they're going to stay here.
So I would
So I'm now
agree.
gonna.
Only if whatever we're like forcing them to do will have a significant impact on their quality of life. I'd rather not just like do whatever we want to unoccupied children that come here just because they violated our sovereignty.
Yeah, and like Katarana did originally kind of start and we did kind of get off into this very sticky subject about like where do and how do and can we get consent for medical procedures at the border and
My
such.
whole
And
point
in
was
terms
just
of
to give alternatives. That's all.
yes, and I do appreciate it. But what I'm saying is we do get into that really sticky situation where minors lack the capacity for informed consent. It's why we don't
Yes.
allow minors to enter into contract. It's why we don't allow minors to consent to certain medical procedures. We don't allow minors to get tattoos. We don't allow minors to vote. It's because they lack. We also don't consider it valid when a minor consents to an adult sexual advance because they lack the capacity for informed consent.
But
so the idea that
but
we
on
can get them
on
consent on the border is
KOE though, on the same note, to Doobie's point, right? But well, yes, they lack the ability to consent, but then we give that ability to consent for them, not for sexual advances, but for everything else, to adults, right? To the adults in their lives. The kids that are showing up. Well, okay, so some of the kids, of course, have parents. Others do not have parents who come in. So they're coming by themselves. Children who are making it like with their brothers and sisters, but like no adults, unaccompanied children, right? And so in that case, the guardian would be the state. And so wouldn't the state be able to make that decision?
Well, you do raise an interesting point there because as I was getting into
would have to be at
it's
that
one of
point,
those
yeah.
interesting, it's recognized in philosophy, law, and morality that children are not fully rights-bearing creatures. So it's just recognized in all three of those standards. And so you do raise an interesting point, and that's why I say it is a goddamn modern day Othello. This is a tragedy that we even have to have this discussion. But, you know, it is one of those, what do we do now that they're here? And so, and you know what?
I think it's fine for the
Okay.
I think it's fine for the state to take some authority when it comes to the kids. We just have to talk about what the authority is all.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it
For
comes down
medical
very simply.
procedures, yeah, and I'll go to you, Spoon, next. Yeah, but for medical procedures, right? Like, so let's say a kid, right, has to have surgery, right? They get here and some surgical procedure has to be done. Normally, like, we'd have to have some parental consent, right, to do any medical procedure on them, right? Well, this is a medical procedure, getting their DNA and all that. So why not the state also being able to consent for them? Go ahead, Spoon.
So I'm not exactly sure how it works in the US, but I'm fairly sure it works similar to how we do it in the UK. So generally, your like legal guardian is considered like your provider, right? And when you're underneath the protection of that legal guardian, you are considered a dependent. However, in rare cases where, for example, a 15-year-old is allowed to live on their own because their parents are abusive or something like that, and they're deemed okay to live on their own, they are considered an independent. And at that point, they can give consent. They are deemed valid to give consent. And it seems to me that the same situation applies with the children crossing the border. They have an absence of a legal guardian, and thus they must be treated as independents, caring for themselves and able to consent. And thus it is necessary to get consent from them.
Hold on. So they can consent, right? So you're saying they're independent.
They can consent.
They can. can consent, right? Okay.
Yes.
So if they can consent, right? If we give them that much autonomy, then should they not be treated as then adults if they're consenting at that point? Like if we're giving them adult status on one and when we give adult status on the other end.
So again, it's like a matter of necessity, right? So obviously, I personally, and it seems the states agree, I think that everybody should have the right to self-determination. But generally speaking, this is impractical for children because obviously they can't really take care of themselves. But in this like rare situation, which is obviously becoming increasingly more common, you have to sort of draw a line here. And that line seems to be, we have to ask these people for consent, but generally in every other aspect, they seem to be considered a child because they're not fully developed yet. And we have to give them consent because, well, who else can?
So Venom, and then Katarana, if you had your hand up, I'm not sure if you did. If not, that's okay, but Venom.
Yeah, so, I mean, in regards to the US, it seems like at the current moment, the situation is pretty fucked. I think that the prescription of maybe this is what you have to do in the meantime seems to be like the most reasonable one to make since that no measures were taken to find an alternative. But like in regards to like how you treat children who are outside the confines of the state, right? While I was here in Brazil, like right, I do law. I have a bachelor in law, and while I was in uni, I've noticed like by statistics there is a serious problem with young people, right, and crime, and what to do with those young people, because leaving them like in enclosed spaces brings a lot of problems. So we have been looking into new social educative like measures for it. I think in the US it's called community placement. I'm not sure if that's exactly the perfectly like analogous method, but honestly here it looks more like daycare. Honestly, there are these like non-profit institutions that the government then finance indirectly. And these institutions taking the children and take care of the children among the community, that they're not isolated from the community. And basically we have all a variety of like guardians, not just one or two guardians, but a variety of them taking care of these individuals until then the state can can put their hands on them and take them elsewhere or do whatever else it is. It's just a transitory measure that I think the U.S. could benefit from in regards to like dealing with migrants in particular, because I mean, if it can work for literally like the most problematic of children, like we're talking about children who like here in Brazil deal with drug trafficking, children who comes from the favelas and stab people, right? If it can work for them, I don't see why it wouldn't work for like a children that might be somewhat problematic that came across the border. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that there are more humane methods of dealing with this, but I don't know what to do in the meantime.
So we'll go to Pastel, Doobie, and then Spoon.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure, after everything we talked about in the beginning of this, we all agree like what the current measures being taken right now are good, right? Because no one's like really brought up an alternative really, and so I'm just making sure that like this is everyone's positions, right?
I think it's fine compared to what previously was. It's like a step in the right direction in comparison, and that's sort of how I look at it. So
Yeah, so I would
Like-
say like I would ask, what's the alternative? So like I said, you need a facility
what I've
to
been
integrate
wondering.
these people. You have
It's
to,
like-
right?
it's
Having
like-
Yeah.
like some like non-English speaking 15-year-old fucking migrant coming over the border, what are they going to do? They need some way to integrate, right? They're not just going to get a
Mhm.
job. They're not just going to like buy a house. They need some sort of like format to integrate, right? And there needs to be a system in place to do that.
Yeah.
Like the alternatives are
statement,
they walk over the
sorry.
border. The alternative is they walk over the border and like, I don't know, good fucking luck, live the American dream, or
worse.
roving gangs of like white supremacists shooting you on the border. There needs to be a system in place there. Now that system can be a good system. Currently, and it has been a bad system. But in order to get that system from a bad system to a good system, it needs to get better. And that's what's happening
Yeah.
currently.
Yeah,
it's
it's-
getting
yeah,
better.
okay.
If I may,
I
That's all
totally
that
agree.
matters at the end of the day, right?
That Joe Biden finds himself in a very precarious position where his two choices are to more or less continue what the previous administration was doing or fail spectacularly. That's why even some of the old facilities that Trump was criticized for are getting reopened because as Venom actually point out that yes, we do get these gluts after every election. There is much more people that try to come up here. And to me, it's like, man, I don't have a perfect answer, but I just lament the fact that the places that these people are coming from are such political basket cases because these places are paradise. If you go down to Central America and the northern part of South America, weather-wise, it's absolute paradise. But it's just political basket cases, and so they feel they need to flee. And it is, like I said, again, another modern day Othello.
So let's go to Jubilant Catarana.
So I think there's like a basically an agreement. Kids in cages is good for now. Maybe make the cages prettier, I guess. But what I think there was what I'm not understanding is the pushback to the idea of like having them swapped, right? And like the idea that we would need their consent to get them swabbed for their DNA, to have it checked, to see if they have like relatives in the States they can be released to. I'm just trying to like wrap my head around the idea. So
I don't actually think I'm opposed to that in principle now.
Okay, well let me just give an example to the people that like are opposed to this, because a lot of these children are coming from very poor countries where they do not have access to like vaccinations and shit, right? They're very
make it quick so someone can respond. Make it quick.
Yeah, okay. So if someone if one of these kids are in close proximity, they need to be vaccinated in case one of these kids has smallpox or some shit. So you're saying that we should ask that kid for consent, and if the kid says no, I don't want to be vaccinated for smallpox, we don't give him the fucking shot. Like, I'm trying to.
So Catarana, so you're next. Go ahead.
Yeah, so for the case of vaccination, especially like if everyone's going to be in close quarters and there's the possibility of an outbreak, I think vaccination and telling someone that you're going to get a vaccination is very different than saying I'm going to permanently store your data. So giving a vaccination, in which case you can literally say, hey, if you don't get this, like most likely you guys are going to die. So GG, like what do you want? And it just doesn't make sense to even give an option for that, because there would be even more of like a public outrage saying we let kids die at the border because we said we wanted to, be cool dad. I don't think that's a good idea. But like in terms of the whole idea of taking someone's DNA, so I know the whole argument is technically, you could see them as like prisoners of the state, but like we don't do that for actual prisoners either. We don't say, come here real quick and spit in the cup. We do fingerprints, but we don't. We do fingerprints, yes. Yeah,
you can do that with the
I have to do, yeah, but that doesn't help you find anybody. The whole point is to help them find somebody. The point isn't just so that we have Uncle Sam on everyone's ass. The whole point is to help them find their family so that we can go ahead and move them away from being at the border. But like if you go ahead and explain the ramifications of having, hey kid, we can find your uncle or you can go to the state. But if we help you find your uncle, we will keep your data on hold which one do you want? And the kid says, no, just send me to the state. Then they're free to say that. Like, hey, you're 15, whatever, man. Make your own choices. But like saying that.
No. Finish. No, stop. Finish your point.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So yeah, it's no problem. So yeah, I just think the whole idea of saying that we're like, we're gonna keep this stuff on you. Like this is something that we can hold on. Like, you know, if you ever do anything, and sure, I know some people say like we should have a database of people if they are going to go ahead and commit a crime, but still, like we don't do that for citizens, so we shouldn't be doing it for like people that are like 13-year-olds at a border either. So I think it should just be optional. And then I think like my thing is I just want them to get moved away from the border as quickly as possible. And if DNA helps them get moved away and helps the state not have to continue putting money into them and having it become somebody else's problem, because I know America always wants to have that balanced TM budget all the time. So like here, let's go get your balanced budget. Go send it to your family, not your problem anymore.
Okay, that's the round. Thank you so much, everyone. You're voting now. Straw poll is in chat. You're voting for which one of these wonderful individuals you want to keep, not kick. Keep the one you want to stick around, the one that's most interesting, the most informative, the most funny, whatever it is, whatever your criteria is. You're voting for the one you want to stay, not the one you want to go. Right? Do it right now. Jump into it. It's going to be 5 minutes on the buzzer. 5 minutes right now. And hey, everyone, like, someone fucked up, right? A few of you guys, you waited too long. Last time, Ninetales, after all the voting was done, she came in second, but then she got eliminated any which way. That's because you waited too long to vote.
No.
Don't
I
wait.
feel terrible.
No, don't.
I want ranked choice.
Don't wait to vote for Phil KOEs. Do not wait. You need to get your Phil KOE Nation vote in as soon as possible, folks.
A person, go ahead. A person who would have come in second place did not, in fact, got lost because you did not vote. So vote now. Don't dick around. Don't wait, because then your favorite will lose. That will happen. Go ahead. You want to say something, Spoon?
Yeah, so I'm actually serious. I sent you a link which allows you to do polls that are ranked choice.
Yeah, that's nice, but that's not going to help me right now. So
do ranked choice.
I'm absolutely not going to do that right now.
Vote Sneaky Debate Man for voter reform, okay?
Yeah,
vote Sneaky Debate Man for statistics.
We should unionize and
science.
wait until vote ranked choice. We should just unionize.
But yeah, folks, this
Go,
isn't
panel
Pennsylvania.
union. I
We
love
don't
it.
take ballots after the election's over. So you need to get your votes in now for Phil KOE, of course.
That's okay. I don't think it matters. I think even if I come last, Pastel is going to save me. Okay, I have faith.
Everyone,
I don't think I want to come first.
I'm the big guy. I'm Big Show and Kane in the Battle Royal, so I'm expecting to get betrayed and thrown over at any moment. So
So
I don't like the word betrayed. It makes me feel bad.
So everyone, yes, please, if you're enjoying this content, if you're new to this channel, do me a favor, hit that follow button, hit that notification bell to know when I'm going live. We do this all the time. We stream 6 days a week. We have open panels 6 days a week where audience members like you, yes, you sitting at home, I'm talking to you, yes, you can be a part of the show. So if you want to be invited, like, you know where I find most of these people who are on these shows, people who come on my walk-on panels, right? So you want to be invited in the future. Like Calterana, she like showed up in one of my walk-on panels like a few weeks ago. She just was like, "Here, I want to be on something," and I'm like, "All right, cool."
Yeah. And bitch, I'm famous. What it do?
That's how it works, right? So if you want to be a part,
that's how it worked for me.
Yes, if you want to be a part of all this, then come on to my open walk-on panels. If you value that type of content, right? Which is the only channel that does this. This is the only channel that just lets random motherfuckers come on and talk about politics, right? Only channel that does that. If you value that content, do me a favor, subscribe to this channel. Subscribe. But I need your help to keep it going. Thank you, Slint Eastwood from Milan before, for being kind enough to use their Twitch Prime, and of course Praxis Place. Again, we gave $5. But of course, we always need more support to keep this channel alive, to keep this content going and growing. Cannot do it without you. So $5, just $5 to keep this content alive. Of course, you can also donate bits. You can donate subs. You can use our Patreon button below, which we have, and we have not a Patreon button, our PayPal button below, but we also do have a Patreon, and we have, count them, 6. I finally have to use 2 hands to express how many patrons we have. This is amazing. I'm so happy. 2 hands, right? To express that, yes, we have 6 patrons now on our Patreon. Yes, help us out with that Patreon. We're trying to grow it there, and trying to figure out what content you want. So give me feedback after you become a patron. If you're not a patron, then I don't care. But give me feedback after you become a patron as to what you want us to do there. Of course, we have a YouTube channel as well. So if you ever miss any of our content, please go to our YouTube channel. Sub to the YouTube channel right now. Do it now. Jump in there. Hit the sub button. We're trying to grow that as well. We're doing some highlights now, so we're doing some shorter videos rather than just uploading the whole VOD type thing, right? So we're trying to give you more content. And in one of these days, we'll come up with a thumbnail. We're working on that. One step at a time. What'd you say?
I was just gonna say that's unfortunate because every episode of any show I appear on of Phil KOE, a best of is basically just playing my scenes from start to end. So I mean, I understand it's gonna be very difficult.
Absolutely.
Prime, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had like really, really bad moments where someone just walks on the panel, says a gamer word, and leaves? Because I haven't seen it happen.
That happened like 2 days ago.
If I lose, I'll do it.
Don't give them ideas.
I'll take one for the team.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, voting is almost over. Voting is almost over. Everyone. Now's the time. Voting is almost over. Don't be upset at me when your favorite person loses. So vote right now. Don't vote later. All right. And no bitching, because there'll be inevitably be bitching. All right. Well, vote early and won't be a problem. So do it right now. Okay. Thanks so much. The voting process is done. All right. I'm gonna go over there. I'm going to refresh the page. See what happened. Refresh the page. Okay, all right. Voting is in. If you're voting afterwards, well, I'm sorry. You're gonna be heartbroken. Oh, this is gonna suck. Okay, we're doing it. So, at the very top, once again, Pastel Dallas, number one. Oh, that means you get to vote someone off, so I'm happy for you too.
Yeah.
Hooray!
You know what? I've gotten over it.
So now the bloodthirst is here.
Yeah, ruthless. I already know who I'm voting off.
Okay, yes, I love to see it. All right, next. Number 2 is Catalana. Oh wow, someone literally just went to my Patreon. That's awfully nice of you for $1, a $1 patron, but very much appreciated. But thank you so much. Anyway, but Catalana, yes, you are number 2, coming up there in the ranks, and Doobie, you fall into 3rd place. How could this be? How did this happen? I don't know. But Doobie,
not liking my chances.
you are 3rd place. And now we go to the bottom 3, and of those bottom 3, 2 will be eliminated. Of the bottom 3, we have Layman. Layman, it hurts. Layman, it burns. But
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah,
that's fine.
You did vote for yourself. You guys can vote for yourselves. I don't. But okay. Moving on.
The 2 topics here I knew absolutely nothing about, so I couldn't really say much about them.
So
you could just interject.
Did you not vote for yourself though? At least. Just you could do that.
I don't have a Twitch account, so no.
Why don't you have a Twitch account? Okay.
I don't use Twitch.
Okay, well, whatever.
I love coming on your panels.
Okay, fair enough. So, moving on. We have next is KOE. You're also down there.
Last, I'm disappointed.
And Spoon. Oh boy. Oh man, Spoon. How could it happen? How could it be? Spoon, you're one of my favorites. You know that.
Quick question: what happens if we both vote for the same person to kick off?
Yes. What happens then? If you both vote for the same person, then that person gets to decide among the other 2 who to take with them. So that's how that works. Yes. Drama no matter what. Okay. So we'll start with Layman, right? 30 seconds. Why should Katarana and Pastel keep you around? Go ahead.
You should keep me around because the 2 topics that I actually had a lot to say on might come up next, and I really want to talk about those topics, and I didn't really get the. I don't know. I'd be disappointed in myself thus far. So yeah, that's why. Sorry.
Someone already sent me their votes. They didn't care to hear what y'all had to say. They already sent me a vote. Oh wow, damn. Amazing. Okay, moving on. So one of you, you may be pleading your case, but for it may be pointless. So, Dancing Spoon. Why should you be kept?
I know, my Lord and Savior, Lord of the Politics Discord will save me. I have faith in Doopy, okay? I need no begging. I know that the die has been cast.
But what if Katarada tells you to get the fuck out? What about that? He can't save you from that.
Well, I think I've made some good points. I think they're on my side, I hope.
No, tell her what a great person she is. Don't tell her how...
She's fantastic.
She is
Probably
fantastic.
the best person I've ever met.
Yeah.
There's nothing more I can say.
Yeah. She's got it all, the total package, right? Right?
Exactly, yeah.
Damn right. Okay. All right. Hopefully hopefully you aren't the boat that already came in. Who knows? Next, KOE. KOE. Why should you stay?
I would
You'd be fantastic.
be kicked off of this panel because then I wouldn't be able to provide all of you beautiful people with even more spicy takes and just giving you my general brilliance in all takes and also my masterful sartorial resplendency. But other than that, you know, folks, this is an amazing match, but I'm the big guy. I'm over 6'3", and so in any battle royal, you usually get betrayed and thrown over the top rope, and that's the big guy's stake. I would hope that that doesn't be the case. I was hoping to make it for a few more rounds so that I could go a few more rounds of debate with you beautiful people. But folks, regardless of all that, be sure to like, share, subscribe here at Prime K's. And with that, I yield back.
Okay. Fuck Kaylee, I love you. Actually, I like you a lot. So, alright, DB, Katarana. In with the votes. Okay. Would you DMing me?
Wait, I thought
would you DMing me?
I thought it was Pastel. I thought it was.
Oh, Pastel. Sorry. Did I say that? Oh, yeah, Pastel. Sorry, Pastel. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to be.
Because no, last time I would rearrange the tiles, but I can't do that with Discord. But so Pastel.
Actually, you went unheard.
Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, Spoon, you went unheard. You're off. Off you go. It happens.
I can't believe this.
Can't be saved.
Top 10 anime betrayals 2021.
Oh, wow,
okay.
that burns.
The least you could do is still follow me on Twitch.
Yes, you should. Bahan, you also, you're a streamer, right? I see you streaming so often now. Yeah, tell people about your stream.
Yeah, so I am British. I'm sorry for that. I know that's a big contentious point around here. I'm really sorry for being born in England. But I do stream. I do cover politics. Yeah, exactly right. I do cover politics. So if you want to check me out, you like my takes, go follow me on Twitch.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Next. This is. All these are tough because you're all my children here, and I love you all equally. But you all don't love each other equally because KOE, you're gone. KOE, I am sorry for this. Do you want to know? It was absolutely Colorado. Oh, you called it. Yes, she definitely did that. She definitely did it. She didn't even wait. She was like, toss this man out. It was immediate. She was ready to toss this man.
I turned my back on you for a second, and you grabbed me and threw me over the top rope. Ah, so terrible.
Yeah.
I would like you to know that I wouldn't kick you off if your microphone didn't hurt my ears so much. It was solely because I literally just can't, I physically can't listen to you anymore, but like, you know, if you would write it all out in a script, it would be amazing.
No, that's just my voice.
There's just something about the bass or something. I don't know. There's something with your mic. I will donate you $200 just so that I don't have to ever hear whatever that is.
It's the gain. It's the gain.
So do something about that, and I'll put you back on. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you. And don't you worry. The next battle royal, watch yourself. I might be chucking you right over the top rope. Might just happen. But folks, since I'm going to be leaving all you beautiful people, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining me this evening on the Prime K's panel. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme Phil KOE, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man who makes the other podcast power. Check me out at KOE Nation on YouTube and KOE Nation on Twitch. I also make special guest star appearances on the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube and on appearances on the Tomfoolery Show, Dads Worldwide, and Yeti Duff Podcast. I'm a man too big and too extreme for one show. Thank you for joining us, folks. Thank you for being here. And I'm sorry that the most entertaining part of your night just went bye-bye. I love you all. Check me out on Twitch. I'll be doing my own thing here in a little bit. Later, y'all.
Goodbye, my friend.
Bye now. Saying
Goodbye.
I think Prime is muted. Yeah.
Yeah, Prime, we can't hear you, man.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I had to mute myself because I was sneezing horribly. Yes, I was saying, my fault. I was saying that we love you, KOE. KOE, you're an amazing talent, and we're so happy to have you around. So we'll have you around in the future, certainly. But thank you so much. Have a good one.
No,
Oh, man.
I'm glad Layman stayed around. I've developed a connection with Layman. I'm never going to put you off.
Oh, thank you so much. My silence has really resonated with everyone, it would seem. So.
Yeah. Well, the people who vote others off, it seems like it's voted. As long as you resonate with the other panelists, then you can't get eliminated, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's the play. That's the make sure that they all feel appreciated, right? And they won't.
The Canadian sovereignty here, right? It's the national identity of Canada pumping through all of our veins together.
Okay, yeah. If that's the thing that you guys do, great, hooray. So the next question, and I gotta do this. I have to do this for Layman because he's been through too much. All right.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you right now. Which is weird. All right, I'll try it again. I will give you what you asked for right now. Is populism a detriment to national politics? Are left and right wing populism equal in their impact? All right. So we have 25 minutes left on the clock. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I guess I'll open it because it was my topic. So, yeah, I find the conversation around populism really interesting, mostly because I think, for obvious reasons, it's something that appeals to the average person, and the average person tends to love that shit to some degree. So, I guess something that I want to do right away is just sort of lay out a definition of it, because I think the definition of it gets kind of muddied colloquially because it's kind of a hard thing to define. So, the term populism is usually applied to political groups and individuals, so they don't just like make appeals to like what the average person thinks and feels and what their concerns are in society. It's mostly that, but then contrasting that to pitting them against a designated elite group. And so that elite group, it varies, right? It depends. So like left-wing populism usually is trying to pin the average person against like the bourgeoisie or the billionaires or something like that, right? Like Bernie Sanders, AOC, like they're left-wing populists, basically. And then on the right, it's usually things like the universities or the Jays, you know, So that's it's yeah, it sucks. It's terrible. I hate it. But yeah, so that's more or less what populism is understood to be. So it doesn't bear with it a set of like policies necessarily, and it doesn't really have a place on the political spectrum. Even like centrists can be populists. Like Tim Pool's a fucking populist. He's always like the mainstream media. So, that's sort of what I'm interested in tackling, is that method of politics. Now, my position is I fucking hate populism. Here's why. I hate populism because historically it's just been a disaster. Like there's a study from the, and I'm looking at it here, this is from the Institute for Global Change. There was a study that was published in it that looked at the outcomes of populism on 46 different populist leaders or political parties that held executive office across 33 democratic countries, like liberal democracy kind of countries. And it analyzed them between 1990 and 2018, and it found that each year of populist rule, it correlated with like 30% decline in the right to participate in democracy itself in the general population. Overall, 23% of populists caused significant democratic backsliding, compared with only 6% of non-populist democratically elected leaders. So it seems to have worse effects in that regard. Over 50% of populist leaders usually like scrap fucking constitutional rights. Many of these changes extend term limits. They weaken checks on executive power. Under populist rule, freedom of the press usually falls. Civil liberties usually fall. Political rights, a lot of them end up being like these crazy fucking authoritarian, like one-party states and shit. Maybe Doobie's down for that. I don't know. I'm not though. So, but populism is usually something that tends to rally for the people, express the will of the people, and the outcomes are usually the opposite of that and are worse. So that's why I'm not a fan of populism.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan either because I have my own study here that was done by the NCBI where they're saying that populism also leads to very radical anti-science, anti-academia attitudes, which I think is an absolutely detriment to any rhetoric on any serious conversation. Populism is like such a harmful thing.
It's because academia is an elite group. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which should be like minimized to the utmost ability. So yeah, that's my take. Populism really bad.
Yeah, I think personally for me, I think that the idea that populism bad is an oversimplification of history, if anything else. I think that like I'm from South America, yeah. I'm surrounded by populists all the fucking time. Hugo Chavez, Evo Morales, Lula da Silva back when he was president, and now Jair Bolsonaro. I have experience with looking at the rhetoric of these such individuals, yeah. And one thing that I would say they all have in common is, in fact, pitting the common people against the elite. That doesn't mean, however, that every form of populism is going to be inherently bad or inherently good. It just means that populism is a way of framing your rhetoric. And
Yes.
if anything else, I'd say that the idea that the major population have interests that do not correlate with the interest of people in determined positions of power. I don't think that this is a vision that at all contradicts reality. I believe that it depends on how you're going to frame that such ideas. For instance, Lula da Silva correctly positioned that political elites and economic elites were holding Brazil back and were holding welfare back in regards to domestic policy. He correctly positioned that, and his government has been largely successful in regards to improving the material conditions of the average Brazilian. Jair Bolsonaro, however, is an anti-intellectual, and I think that those are two very different kinds of populism.
So I really want to respond. So I sympathize with that completely. That's actually the big reason why populism is very appealing to a lot of people, is because, like, even though the outcomes of it are often really bad, that doesn't necessarily mean that the things that a populist might point out about how an elite group in society might be ignoring the common people is untrue. Usually, the fact that there's truth to it is what speaks to what a lot of people are feeling and thinking and stuff. Now, something that the study that I cited before looked at as well, it actually did measure different parts of the political spectrum that populist governments tend to be on. So it did look at like right-wing populism versus left-wing populism versus, you can call it centrist populism or some third way kind of populism. And it seemed like the effects that I mentioned prior were equally applicable to left and right, with the third way populism still having the negative effects, but not being as significant, I guess. Now, you're right. It doesn't mean that it's always going to end in negative outcomes. Obviously, for example, like the French Revolution that eventually led out of feudalism, absolute monarchy to like our modern, liberalism was populist. And I don't want to go back to monarchy or anything like that, right? So obviously I'm not familiar with the situation in Brazil, so I can't speak to that very much. But usually, I think even though the data doesn't say that literally every single instance of populism will end badly, I think that just generally speaking, you can advocate for correct ideas and things that people want to advocate for and lead to good policy decisions without having to rely on that specific methodology.
So we'll go to Venom, you can respond, and then we'll go to Katarana, then Pastel. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would position this, right? But there are reasons. I'm not going to say that I'm familiar with it. I have read about studies that say that there is a correlation between populist rhetoric and decaying democracy, right? But I would posit this. I posit that for left-wing populists in particular, right, there is also a direct correlation between left-wing populists and intervention, right? And intervention specifically from the United States here in Latin America. So, for instance, when someone like João Goulart, a populist, says, "Hey, we should do an agrarian reform, and we should give back to the people," and the U.S. ends up through external pressure ensuring that a military coup d'état happens in Brazil, that's an obvious decay in democracy, as some would say, direct result of rhetoric of populist rhetoric. But that's not the fault of the populists, and that's not the fault of the rhetoric. It's just the fact that when you challenge power fights back, and that tends to hurt democracy by itself. That doesn't mean that it's not a cause worthy of fighting for, right? That doesn't mean that it's not a method worth considering, especially for countries who do not have the same privileges as that of the global north.
Yeah, sure. That's something that happens, certainly. But I would say that doesn't negate the fact that there are still left-wing governments that don't do that. That's one instance. And again, I can't speak to that instance. And again, the data doesn't suggest that this happens literally all of the time, right? If you're a populist, you will necessarily be anti-democratic or whatever, right? Like if that worked in that individual instance, that's great. I'm happy.
Let's go to Katarana and then Pastel.
Okay.
My kind of opinion is that like populism can be overall okay as long as it doesn't like get in combination with fascism. I think a lot of times when we think of different types of populist movements, it's also like has this ultra like nationalism like mixed in with it, and there's always like part of it is the people rally around this other that needs to be like kind of executed or moved away from society. I think when we're working on like populism and just people are coming to like getting really excited about potentially pushing for these policies that like they are passionate about, I think that's a really good way of getting the general population interested in politics. For example, I know this is super micro scale, but I think the anecdote still kind of stands. So I ran for student politics at my university, but I was a part of a populist party. So my party that I ran with in my student election was populist, and we ended up having like the highest amount of voter turnout in like ever in my university's history, just because we were like talking about things that people cared about. Sure, the like year before was talking a lot about austerity and like talking about policies, but we were talking about like honestly somewhat stupid stuff. But hey, look, people voted, I won. Hey, what did it do? Like we ended up voting, like running for like a party of essentially get the school to clean the bathrooms. Our party was literally called Cut the Crap. Like literally that's how we won. It was just by doing populism. And sure, perhaps at the end of the day, like what we were doing wasn't going to make such a major effect on students, but like it did get people for once to actually realize that their student union exists, and it is able to at least drag people in for the first place to even get somewhat involved with their politics. And I think things like populism, I think populism in like the theoretical is not that harmful, because like let's say we have populists like Bernie Sanders. Sure, he didn't win, but it ended up starting a conversation, and it ended up bringing a lot more people into like being interested in things like politics in first place, because finally it was speaking the common language. So as long as it's not being like, you know, mixed in with, and we should also get rid of the parentheses, I'm pretty good with it.
Let's go to Pastel and then DB.
Well, I'm going to make a couple ought claims here. I don't think populism ought to be fascist, right? I'm pretty sure we can see populism all across the scale. I would say populism ought to be somewhat authoritarian. I'm going to drop a study in a second in chat that explains this. I'd also say I don't think populism ought to always be harmful. If a minority group is actually being oppressed, then definitionally it would be populist if a politician said, hey, these elites, like if a political elite is actually like oppressing a minority, then that would technically be a populist policy, which I wouldn't think would be a bad thing to point that out. However, in like constitutional democracies, I'm going to drop the link now in chat. We see in a bunch of countries all over the world that populist parties tend to strengthen the executive branch. They tend to do like radical overhauls of constitutions of countries, which I think is really bad. And also, if your main party's goal, and like most countries, is, hey, there's a bad guy, we should like stop the bad guy, I think your rhetoric's pretty bad. You should be instead addressing, hey, the bad guy is putting these bad policies. How about we fix these bad policies? Let's not just like boil everything down to bad guy, bad guy, bad guy against us, bad guy.
DB?
I think that like the way populism is being used in this discussion, It just seems like what you're saying is a way of speaking about a topic, right? And it seems like given that's the case, things
Yeah,
you're going
very
to call populism
politically
are things you agree with, right? And things you're going to call not populism are things you things you're going to call populism, things you don't agree with, things you're going to call not populism, things you agree with. So, for example, like Obama and Bernie Sanders talk about the 1%, keeping people down, right? I think most people would say this is like a form of populism, right? Going around the country talking about how we need to rise up against the rich and the 1%, and these crap corporations, blah blah. They compare that to Trump talking about the tech billionaires and the tech elite controlling your speech, right? They're both forms of populism. It's just one you guys seem to agree with, the other you seem to not, and because you don't agree with one,
agree with any of them.
But I don't know. See, personally, this is a strange topic. Not strange. It's just I'm a little torn on this topic because I think that like populism can be a good thing. But the issue with populism is that it's tied so closely to like democracy, right? And if you're appealing to the average person,
not again.
Listen, if you're appealing to the average person, the reality is that the average person, and this is the problem with populism in general, the average person probably doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to most issues, right? So if you're appealing to the average person and then giving them someone to look at his enemy, whether it's the 1% or Facebook and Twitter or whatever the fuck, right? And you're pushing policy that appeals to them with this enemy in the background that you're using to justify this policy or whatever, or to like drive a need for this policy, you're going to end up with people voting for a lot of shit they don't really understand the consequences of, and you could that could lead to a lot of bad outcomes. So it seems like I don't think you can separate anti-populism and this kind of anti-populist rhetoric from like anti-democracy rhetoric, because it seems like what you're saying is that we need to limit the ability of people to appeal to the average person because the average person makes bad decisions, and I agree with that. But I think the next step is, hey, we should probably talk about democracy.
I really want to clarify something here.
I want first of all, I want to say that I completely agree with Doobie, and I know that Doobie is coming from the position of democracy kind of sucks, but I do agree with the general underlying position that like framing yourself as an anti-populist is kind of anti-democracy in of itself, especially if we look at the fact that like on almost every society that we have across the globe, there we usually big interest groups that will have interests that don't align with the majority of the population. And I think that pointing that out is by itself a populist act. I think that running a platform on that is a populist act. And I believe that this is just a framing of reality, right? And if you don't enjoy the idea of empowering the average population, then I do think that the thing that you want to do actually is just make democracy a little bit more elastic, which would disenfranchise people in a certain ways. And you may think that those ways are necessary or agreeable even. But I would posit that I really don't see it that way. I'd say that at least from my experience in my own country, left-wing populism has done amazing things. It has failed in some respects, but overall, I'd say that for South America, most of the authoritarianism that comes from populism in general comes from certain other pressures of power, I'd say. But yeah, you can talk away, man. I'm seeing you very
sorry. Hold on. Pastel had her hand up, and we'll go straight to you after that, Flea Man. Straight to you.
So I might make the clarification that Layman is my issue with populism is the fact that it 100% relies on we are the good guys and we are going up against the bad guys. If a populist policy is good policy based on its merit of it being a good policy, I think it's fine. My issue is when you're justifying your policy only because we are good guy, these are bad guys, our policy good. That's when it's bad.
Amen.
And I really want to say something, please.
Amen. That's
okay.
it.
So I really want to clarify this. So framing yourself as anti-populism isn't necessarily something that I would agree with. So we have to bear in mind, again, populism isn't doing what is in the best interest of the average person and making policies appeal to the average person. Because obviously everybody who is running for some kind of public office is going to do this to some degree. So we have to bear in mind that populism isn't just making things appeal to the average person. Populism is making things appeal to the average person and painting the civilizational destroying narrative that the elites are coming for you and they're ruining your way of life and all of this shit. And I think it's very, very, and I think it is very, very, very like not controversial to say that you can absolutely have your policies appeal to the average person. The policies are good in and of themselves. If they're good based off of their own merit, it doesn't require populism. Because again, populism isn't tied to any specific policy. Populism is just a methodology, and the methodology is what tends to lead to negative outcomes. It tends to indicate ill will upon the politician running. Even if populism, left-wing populism in particular, I know that's what you're talking about, Venom, has had positive outcomes in your country. That's great. I can't speak to your country. I don't know what's happening in it, but I'm going off of the empirical data, and the empirical data suggests that generally speaking, it's probably a bad idea compared to non-populist rhetoric, which is not the same thing as anti-populist rhetoric.
Yeah, but what if there are organizations, right? Venom just pointed this out earlier. There are organizations that are victimizing sitting as like vultures over the average person, right? Over the country, right? And you're running a campaign, right? And you want to be able to point to the people that are causing the problem, right? And say, hey, these people are the reason this policy is being enacted. These people paying your politicians is the reason these policies are being enacted, even though they know that these policies actually hurt you, the average person. Right? How do you deal with? Do you just ignore the fucking monster in the background, that fucking ape in the room, and you just stick to like boring policy discussions? Like, it
doesn't have to be boring. No, it doesn't have to be boring. I can tell you to do that. So let me think of an example I can use. So let's say you want to tax the rich more, and you want to fund good public programs for universal healthcare or whatever in the United States. So if you want to do that, you can say, hey, you guys want free fucking... Andrew Yang did this, and he did it really well. He said, hey, you guys want $1,000 a month? That's fucking awesome. You can make these things appeal to the average person, no problem, and sound fucking great to people. Andrew Yang did it really well, and he wasn't establishing this like, oh, look at what the rich people are doing to you. They're fucking destroying your way of life, and they're like, you don't have to do that for your policy to sound fucking awesome and palpable to the average person. You just remove all of the economic rhetoric from it.
He lost that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. He was a nobody, right?
So
what I'm saying, but he was a nobody. He didn't have anybody backing him. He wasn't popular. Nobody knew who this guy was before he ran. Based off of that alone, he actually did incredibly well.
So we have Katarana who had her hand up, then we'll go Venom.
So yeah, I think like another part of the question, like are left wing and right wing populism both like equally bad? So I don't think they are, and perhaps this might just be part of my perspective as a leftist, but I find like quite often within right-wing populism, the people that you are trying to show like, hey, we're making this policy because this group is like ruining your life, it quite often ends up being like people that are more able to be harmed. So like, let's say when you go ahead and say, we need to build a wall, and the reason why we need to build a wall is because Mexicans are coming in. I think those types of things lead to like hate crimes, and like it's more like tangible. Like you can more easily access, the Mexicans rather than easily accessing the billionaires and like, doing things to harm their way of life.
I think that like,
yeah. So I think like right wing, like perhaps at the end of the day, they might both equally end up not completely addressing the problem, and they might both end up not actually fixing anything. But I feel I feel a lot more safe saying, okay, it's the 1% that's why we need to go ahead and do this, because it's like at the end of the day, like what are we gonna do? Like go protest outside Bazov's house and burn it down? I don't think so. But like what can people do if you say it's the Mexicans, it's the shithole country people, like that's how hate crimes start. You burn down those people's businesses. It has tangible harm. I
understand this completely. Right. Oh, sorry. I thought
I'm just answering like the question. I think right-wing policy, populism has a lot more harm to like, the average person than like left-wing populism.
Sure. So I understand as a left-wing person that seems to be the case on the surface. Obviously, it is probably, I don't think there's nobody like right-wing on this panel really. So I don't think anybody's going to disagree with me that saying that, oh, the elites are sending Mexicans to like fucking kill your kids and shit is probably worse than saying, oh, billionaires should be like taxed higher or something like that, right? Obviously, like the billionaire thing is, doesn't sound immediately as like fucked up as the other thing, right? Of course.
So let's finish your point. Then we got to move on.
I'm going to finish this really quick. I'm sorry. So yeah, but But what I'm like, the reason why I don't like populism isn't because of what what an individual populist might be doing in and of itself that might seem good or bad in the moment. I care about the outcomes, and the empirical data seems to suggest that regardless of whether or not it's left wing or right wing, those tend to be the outcomes. You go on now, whoever.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I quickly respond to that?
Quickly respond. We got to go to Venom because there's not much time. Go ahead.
I put the citation in the chat, by the way.
Go, cut it on.
Okay,
Yes.
I was just gonna say, like, as you see right now, like there's a bit of a surge in like left-wing populism right now happening in Canada with like the push for UBI, and I don't really think there's anything too harmful that will come out of that. Sure, like I don't know. I think that left-wing populism can come to some net goods, whereas I don't really see too much net goods coming out for like everybody when it comes to right-wing populism. So I just don't think left-wing, perhaps in some of the executions that you've seen, it's been turned into authoritarianism and things like that. But I don't think that's going to happen in the cases of like Western countries. So I think it could be okay.
Sorry, cut
my response to that.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
So, on the words of Zuby, like, what you can't ignore the ape in the room, right? The idea that changing your rhetoric and trying to, and we have a word for this here, like we call it class conciliation. Trying to performatively go for a rhetoric of class conciliation, of we'll make everyone all right. We won't demonize any group. We won't make any group look like the bad guys. So this I could see how that would work if you're on a very liberal, stable democracy. But often enough, the only thing that this does is empower the groups that are in fact oppressing minorities, that are in fact oppressing not only minorities but the majority of the working class, right? And once that happens, what these groups, as they are empowered, they have the ability to push their own populists, the populists that are in favor of them, and will try to push those narratives and help those classes of people that I would say, yes, are damaging the majority of the population. One example of those would be Jair Messias Bolsonaro, who is backed by not only U.S. elites, but backed by billionaires. His Minister of Economy is a Chicago boy. He's a far right populist, and because of the previous administration's his ideas of class conciliation, he has garnered that sort of support. So it's not the idea that populism begets populism, but sometimes by not engaging in populist rhetoric, you are in fact only setting yourself for a worse outcome down the line. So it really is a case by case basis. I don't think that like rejection of reality should ever be like part of your rhetoric, right? Yeah, Hugo Chavez is an example of a left-wing populist who in my opinion was bad because he rejected basic reality to make up for his poor understanding of economics. But this is not always the case. So sometimes there are in fact bad groups of people trying to pursue bad outcomes, and you should always point this out, no matter what you label your rhetoric to be.
So passed out, you passed out. You'll have final word on this. You had your hand up. Final word.
Okay, cool. So I just want to like wrap up a few of my points here. I agree with you guys. I don't think we should 100% ban completely the use of definitionally populist. Like you saying like, oh yeah, the 1% is lobbying for these policies that is going to hurt the middle class. I think pointing that out is fine. Again, my issue is when your whole rhetoric for justifying policy is moral based of we are the good guys and these guys are oppressing us, therefore our policy is objectively better.
I don't think
all right, wrap up your point.
Okay, to back up my point, that's literally the definition of it. The definition calls into I'll drop tons of links in the chat in a second. But most like academia refers to populism as the use of here, let me read the quote real quick. It's using the often juxtaposition of the elite versus the good, and it's developed in the 19th century to various pop. Okay, here we go. Or portrayed as a corrupt and self-serving, the populace different the people as long as being a morally good against a morally bad. So like that's my issue. I don't want to justify policy based on well, we are morally good and this enemy is morally bad. I want to justify policy based on actual merit. Is this policy good? Pass it. Is this policy bad? No. You could point out that it's populist, like, hey, the 1% is oppressing us. Cool. Do not justify your policy solely based on rhetoric that is we are the morally good oppressed and these are the morally bad oppressors, right? That's just not good. I've also
finish your point.
I've also brought up like multiple studies saying that populism does lead to actual harm in actual countries that we see throughout history, more often than good, and no one's like brought up a way to like refute that. So again, I would say most of the time, if your just sole justification of policy is a rhetorical based effectiveness of we are morally good, they are morally bad, you're probably not good at justifying policy, and you probably shouldn't do it.
Okay, all right. That's the round. Thank you so much, everyone. It's that time once again. You are voting. You are voting. Voting for which one's going to kick. We're only going to eliminate one person in this round, and then we'll go to our final round where we'll crown a winner. So one person gets eliminated here, but we'll have two people at the bottom to choose from. So everyone, vote right now. Don't vote later. Straw poll has a lag to it, as people have said. Straw poll has a lag to it. So like, vote early, and then you know your vote will definitely be counted. So vote early, vote now. Don't wait. If you wait, then I don't know what to tell you. So I'll put 5 minutes on the clock. 5 minutes on the clock. Yeah, no tears later on because your favorite didn't make it. So it's in my chat. Straw poll's in my chat. Now's the time to vote. Not later, but now. I don't know how clear I can make that. You guys always wait though, and then get upset. I don't know what to tell you. Vote right now, not later. All right. So the votes in the chat. The polls in the chat. Any which way. Yes. This is. I've been liking this panel so far. You guys have been pretty lively here. Okay, never mind. I'll take it all back. Liveliness is over. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys all being
I
here.
just say
Right.
really quickly, Layman, I really appreciate you coming closer to the democracy's bad position. I think you haven't realized it yet, but you're getting there, and I'm really happy about it.
Okay, buddy. Yeah, sure. We'll yeah. Okay. All right.
Come on, chat.
Thanks, Frog, man, for your approval.
All of these people here, like we have like the leader of the Discord, of the politics Discord. We have a bunch of streamers. We have Prime himself. All these people are the elite. Okay, they are the elite, and I'm with the people. Okay, so if you are with, I know you are.
I'm the elite.
Yeah, you are the elite. So that's why you're
Come at me.
So please chat. Please chat. I'm with you. Okay, I know. I hear your needs.
And then he's going to take away all your rights, and he's going to roll back democracy.
It's one of the few times in your life, chat, that you have the ability to actually get rid of the undesirables. Just take the chance.
Yes, everyone. Now,
if you want to vote, I wouldn't, by the way, just to clarify, like, I don't necessarily like consider myself a hardline elitist either. I've been on this panel before and have argued with Doobie about the dangers of elitism as well. There's a video on my channel if you want to check it out. Gonna plug myself real quick. You can find me on Twitter at lay_man_, LAY_MAN_. The link to my YouTube channel was there, and I argue with Doobie a lot about democracy.
Did you think that link was a good idea with those underscores?
Oh, everybody, hey, come at me. I'm totally fine, man. I'll talk to anybody. If anybody has any qualms or disagreements, I'm more than happy to talk to you. Feel free to raid me, shit on me, whatever you want to do. I'm fine. I'm good.
Oh gosh.
I'm ready.
Actually, thanks for having me on. This is my first time on this, and it seems pretty fun. So thanks.
Yeah, Katarana, you're great. Like you've done a fantastic job at this. Like really intelligent.
I've literally only
really
been in
impressed
the
by
big
you.
pro for like the last 25 minutes. I just started Twitch like less than a month ago.
No, you're doing good. You're doing real well.
Katarina has the spicy takes. Yeah. Really well.
Yeah, people are asking you to post a link in chat. But you need a Twitch account to do that.
Oh shit. You can do it, Prime. I believe in you.
I don't have the link. But once again, you should definitely get a Twitch account. They're free. That would be quite useful for these situations.
People have recommended it to me many times. And I just don't do it for some reason because I'm stupid.
I vote for Valentine's, I vote for the people. Remember that, okay, chat?
Here's my Twitter in the group chat for anyone who wants to put it in. And here I am, shilling myself like the elitist piece of shit that I am.
True.
I want everybody to give me money, give me there's nowhere to do that at. Give me everything you can think of. Give me all you got.
I actually think I'm pretty happy you brought up the populism thing. I think that is a really interesting topic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it's on the rise worldwide, so I think it's an important thing to talk about in general.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, usually like when certain other systems fail, like populism tends to rise. It's just part of the whole scheme.
Yeah, if hierarchies are failing people, then they feel
It's like-
disenfranchised, and they.
Everyone, I hope you're voting. I hope you're voting. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it seems like from my perspective, maybe I missed it, right? But when Obama was running, and you had like I think Obama's movement was very populist, right? And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, right? But I think a lot of the rhetoric he used, a lot of the energy behind this movement was very, very like populist like energy, right?
I don't know,
but we didn't
about
really
that.
hear about that being a problem until like Bernie and Trump, right? Bernie and Trump, you have the left and right wing populists, and they're the bad ones, right? Because they were like anti quote unquote establishment, right? It just seems like that label gets put on things that the people in power don't want us to like.
Well, populism is inherently anti-establishment, right? Like it has to be, kinda. Like
I mean, not
I
necessarily.
don't know. Like I'm not familiar with. I guess I'm not familiar with this like Obama populism. Like from what I understood, like nobody. I mean, I was a baby at the time, to be fair, but I don't remember people being like seeing Obama as this rallying cry of the middle class and going to save them from the evil like capitalists or whatever.
I mean, I don't know how. I'm 32, right? So the election of Obama was actually the first election I was ever able to vote in. And from my perspective, at the time, and I think even looking back on it, there was like this feeling right among people that, oh, this is the moment. I mean, he would say it in speeches, the people look back and see this is the moment that the tides went down or whatever the fuck, because this was the moment we're going to come together and do something about climate change or like that.
Oh, well, that's not populism.
Like, no, but what I'm saying is like there was this feeling, right? I think it was like this groundswell of populism when Obama was being elected.
Yeah, you can rally the nation together behind a common cause that might even be like an existential threat to them, like climate change. But you don't necessarily have to do that in a populist manner, right? You could say like, oh shit, like our way of life is fucked. Climate change is fucking gonna kill us all, and we got to do something about it, right? Oh, sorry, Prime.
No, it's fine. Yeah, straw poll is fucking up right now. Unfortunately. Well. Stop the steal. Yes, there's a steal happening. Okay. The straw poll is fucking up. I don't know what to tell you. All right, so here's what we'll do. We'll vote again. We will hold on.
Oh damn.
We are going hold on. We will use the secondary service. We'll give it a try. All right, so I'm going to create this right now because straw poll is just fucking up. So who do you want to keep? Yes, making an executive decision. We're going to vote again. Keep
That's a cool, Prime. That is a cool.
Yeah. Luckily for you, because there's straw poll screwing you over in particular. So I'm gonna
Oh shit. Okay, in this case it's completely legitimate.
Okay. Oh, is it? Great. That's wonderful. Let's see. And let's see if this works. And okay. One second. Next voting. Let me vote it by paycheck. The number of responses. All right. And okay. Oh, okay. Oh, that's nice. Oh, sorry. Oh.
I think the results are in now.
What, the results are in?
Yeah, the straw poll, I think it's working now.
I think it's refreshed.
Okay, let's try to refresh. Are you sure you want to go with these results? Okay, all right. We will go with these results.
Vote me off. I'm ready for the populist revolution to send me the fuck home.
Sure, we will go with these results. All right. Next. All right. At the top, number one is Doobie. Okay. We will go with Doobie. Thank you, Doobie. Number one. For barely saying anything, but that's okay. Next is Pastel Dallas. Oh, actually, hold on. All right, do we have? Nope. That's still Pastel Dallas, right? All right, and then at the bottom we have Layman and Venom Jesus. So nothing helped Venom. So Doobie, you'll be picking between Layman and Venom Jesus right now. So Layman, Venom Jesus, why should you stay?
Maybe I shouldn't stay. Maybe I'm too much of an elitist piece of shit to stay. I think I should stay because I am having a lot of fun and I'm finally saying things and I would like to say more things. So that's all that I can tell you guys, unfortunately.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Say something.
So yeah, why I stay to this because I mean we disagree on pretty much 99% of everything. So it's universities which have something to argue with. If we do have it to agree with, it's going to be from a very interesting angle. So you know, if anything else, if you want to plan to stay interesting, that's one thing. If anything else.
All right, Doobie, DM me right now. I love being the one to tell. Being the one to tell someone who's eliminated. So don't take that away from me, Doobie. This is less of a surprise. Yes, our good friend Venom, it's you.
Wow,
he made it quite
Layman stays.
He made it quite obvious. He was going to get
This is
eliminated.
so
So,
fucked up. So
but
fucked up.
I guess there was no drama there. Never mind.
That's so
Look,
fucked up.
it's been a pleasure, guys, as always. You know, I'm cheering you on. Okay. Have a nice one.
Venom, I love you, buddy. It was good talking to you.
Yeah, Venom, aren't you a streamer though? You said you were going to start streaming, right? Right?
Yeah, once my camera comes, my setup's ready. I mean, maybe I'll start. I don't know. I'm kind of lazy. Still follow me on Twitch and on Twitter maybe, and I'll figure things out from there. Also, it's been a pleasure hanging out with all of you, and you know, I'll try to do better next time.
Okay. All right, buddy. See ya. Have a good one. All right.
I love you.
This is the final round. All right. So final round. Last question. Yeah, I'll turn this off. Final round. The fun one, honestly, right? And I already know where one of you stands on this particular topic. Is pornography a social ill? Does it do more harm than good? Should it be more heavily regulated? Should we take a firmer stance to protect children? All right, 15 minutes left on the clock. Jump at it.
Yeah, sure. So my thoughts on pornography. So I don't come at this. So I guess I am a little more like critical of it just because mostly at a bias. And I'm going to admit that like outright. So you guys don't have to take anything I say as like immediate truth or anything like that. Because I know how controversial it is to be more on the opposing side. I used to actually have a porn addiction. I haven't watched pornography in about 3 years. So it is something that kind of hits close to home with me. I do think that there are negatively associated effects with it. And I think that a lot of the negatively associated effects that I am going to bring up are things that pretty much everybody already agrees on. Even if you're like more left-wing and stuff like that, you can probably agree on this. So there's a study that I usually turn to, and I mostly focused on it with kids because I was exposed to pornography when I was like 9 years old for the first time. And it wasn't something that I like voluntarily sought after. And I kind of felt like I was groomed by it to an extent. So usually I like to kick it off with a meta-analysis of 430 studies that I like to start with. It's called A Rapid Evidence Assessment on the Effects that Access and Exposure to Pornography Has on Children and Young People. And the key findings of that study were basically that children's access to pornography is like fundamentally different now from previous generations. So I know that like the big thing back in the like 1980s boomer Christian conservative thing was like, oh, these like this degeneracy is running rampant in society and destroying everything and shit. And, you know, no one really took that shit seriously. But now I think that there are like more secularized, you could say, ways to sort of address this issue. So yeah, like right now with social media, for example, with like rampant access, that this is one of the findings of the study had. The study found that like children's access now is fundamentally different because of the prevalence of these materials on the internet, the proliferation of like smartphones, tablets, their use by children and young people to access the internet, often away from adult supervision, makes it very, very difficult for parents to actually control access to these images because of how much like social media and smartphones and all this stuff is a part of our lives now. So that's a big problem. So that means that you would have to take into some other kind of hands, right?
Okay, but so to be clear, are you saying that are you against porn for everyone, or just would you like to require like an ID to access porn?
Yeah, like I'm more so like trying to keep it away from children as much as possible.
Okay.
So so there's two prescriptions that I usually roll with. So I want better sex ed, and I think that that should be something that people are rallying for is better sex ed. The sex ed, particularly in the United States, is dog shit. Kids should be like learning about this stuff and like what the dangers of it are and all that shit, and people should be informed on what they're consuming. But in addition to that, like I think that it would be because it is like so outside of parents' hands today, unless we fucking like return to monkey and get rid of all the technology, which is obviously a fucking pipe dream. I think that like some kind of market regulation where, and this isn't anything like crazy, right? I think that like if you made it so porn, these like large scale porn companies just had to make it so you couldn't access the material unless you like used your credit card to like pay for it or something, right? That would weed out all the kids.
So really quickly, what do you quantify as kid?
Like a minor, like someone who's like, you know, between like usually people who are exposed to this stuff are between the ages of, the youngest that I've seen has been like 10, but generally speaking, it's like 13 to 15 sort of range.
Okay, so then I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this. I think
Okay.
that people that are under, I think like as long as you're over the age of 12, you should have access to porn. More of my concerns when it comes to porn is the unrealistic standards when it comes to porn. I think that everybody like the first site I ever saw was like very much not like women focused, and Pornhub has a lot of what I find is kind of harmful type of porn on there. But in my opinion, if we could go ahead and make it more normalized for people to see more realistic standards of porn, then I wouldn't have a problem with anybody seeing porn as early as 11. I think people need to know exactly, like people that I was in middle school with were having sex as early as 10. Might as well let them beat their meat. They're going to see pussy anyways, so might as well just let them have access to it online. But I think it really needs to be fixed with the way that 14, 15-year-old boys are seeing porn, like this weird like porn star.
Well,
like
a lot of the
researchers
in the meta-analysis that I cited. Oh, sorry, David. Sorry, David. Go on.
So this is the reason Christians and right-wingers were talking about degeneracy, right? And how this degenerates the society. We just had a person tell us that children, literal like 11-year-olds, should have access to films of adults having sex. That's pretty fucked up. Now, secondly,
I agree,
I want to give my like my backstory, right? My fucking origin story on porn, right? I also was exposed to porn really young, right? I think like 5 or 6 years old. My parents left me alone. I turned on the TV, and it was like a topless Japanese soccer or some shit, right? And then I clicked the channel, and it was like some really shitty like softcore porn on Playboy. And then I also lost my virginity very young at like 12 years old with another like 12-year-old, right? And then porn wasn't really like a thing I thought about for most of my life, because I had a girlfriend, for most of my life, and it just didn't like come up, right? Like it wasn't like a big deal to me. But about when I was like 24, that relationship ended. And then I had, a period of singleness, right, where I did start watching porn. And for me, it wasn't like the thing that kind of like, because I haven't watched porn in like 6 years or some shit, right? The thing that changed my mind, right, wasn't like children are going to be exposed to this. It was literally like I can't even tell you the fucking video. I can probably link you to the video, right, if I prefer to dig it up.
You don't have to do that. But...
And it was like I was kind of clicking through on my phone, and then it was like just looking for something good, right? And there was like a video of a woman with her legs up in the air and a man sitting over her, and he was like treating her like a piece of meat, basically. Right, they're like shit talking her. He said something like the dick in the ass, balls in the pussy, or some shit like that, right? And I remember looking at that and seeing the look on her face, and I felt like, and it just like hit me like this epiphany. This is a human being, right? This is someone with hopes and dreams, someone's daughter, someone's wife, they're the sister, and I am pleasuring myself to the act of this person being like dehumanized in front of me for money because this person needs to pay fucking rent, right? That seems totally unethical to me. I think that so long as like we have like a patriarchy, we have things like the kind of capitalism we have right now that leads to people needing to go out and work and fucking grind every day just to get food and water and have lights on, I don't think I can support porn for as long as this system exists and women are being trained to present themselves for like the pleasure of men. I just can't, like, I can't I find it disgusting, right, to support an industry like that.
Yeah, so I want to
Pastel.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, you didn't speak yet.
Yeah, so I just believe we need to regulate it tighter so like more kids can't get exposed to it. I think it would be much better than just letting kids get porn anyways if we just actually like update our like education so it's not absolutely garbage. It is like so bad in like these southern states where they like literally just teach you nothing. I think it'd be far better if we like actually taught kids about sexual reproduction and stuff like that so they don't have to like just know nothing and they're not literally subjugated to like quote unquote learning, as someone said, from like very 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 unrealistic videos that you do find on porn sites. Like yeah, I think regulation should be better. I think we should probably protect sex workers more because it leads to a lot of sex trafficking, which needs to be addressed. No one ever brought that up in this conversation, which I think is a very huge problem.
It is.
Yeah, we can make the industry far more safer if we just like regulate it and put the political action into it. Yet we just kind of refuse to, which I find absolutely absurd.
Okay, go ahead, Katana, and then Layman.
Yeah, so kind of the way I'm seeing this is so Doobie, you were saying that like you were able to see like really dehumanizing things, and I think that like that shouldn't be promoted to people under a certain age. But I also think that like porn can be a really responsible way if you show somebody the proper type to show like what it's like for like to see intimacy, how it's supposed to be done, especially since there is so much like dehumanizing porn. Telling people more about the types of sites where you can see people just actually like having a loving experience is a lot healthier than what we are already having. And no matter what, you can go ahead and regulate, you can do credit card, whatever. It's not going to stop people from getting online. If I want to beat my meat, I'm going to beat my meat. Okay, like I can find all types of ways to go around it. So this whole idea of like just regulating it and like just waiting until you're 18, sure, I would be all for it if they were doing better sex ed, and I know you guys advocated for it, but like people have been advocating for the southern states to do better sex ed for years. They're not going to do it. They want you to sit there and say, I'm not going to have sex until I get married, and then they have the highest pregnancy rates in the country. They like it that way. It makes them real happy. So like this is like the next closest. This is the closest thing to being responsible I think there is. Just letting people know about like websites like I think like Bellissima or Bellima or something like that, where it's like, man, woman, man, whatever, woman, and they're not just sitting there fucking pounding away at orifices. It's like actual realistic things. I think that's a lot like healthier than what we're currently saying. And this whole idea of like telling like 14-year-olds like, no, so just go find other, like, I don't know, just go read a magazine. Like, what is this? The 1980s?
No,
I'm pretty sure. No, but they need to like they're gonna masturbate. They want to watch it. They're gonna have to watch something. They're not gonna just close their eyes and think about some girl in their class. Everyone's acclimated now to porn. They want to watch porn. So might as well just promote healthy porn rather than saying no more porn. Like it just seems kind of.
So I'm not suggesting no more porn. I'm not suggesting no more porn. I've never said
you want a cap. You want an age cap, right? You want like a credit card, so you have to be a certain age.
So you have to be an adult. Wait, Doobie, I have to respond to this. So I just want to clarify, like, I'm not coming at this from like a sexual Puritan perspective. I'm totally fine with adults consuming porn. What I'm going with is just what the researchers, the psychologists, professionals who are looking into this stuff suggest, which is the better sex ed solution. If you want to have like pornography, because like that is a problem that researchers highlight, right? It sets unrealistic expectations for kids and kids don't understand that. The problem though is that also applies to like the soft core stuff as well. I don't know if I'm using the word correctly, but the stuff that isn't like, like not like hardcore, like BDSM, like really out there kink stuff, but more so like the typical, like just normal, like vanilla sex that you would see in porn.
And that's not what I'm referring to. So like, I know like the whole, hustler stuff that's on TV after 11 p.m. And that's unrealistic too. There's stuff out there that's like a lot more just like, boyfriend, girlfriend, just sitting there watching a movie like normal people, and then they're like, wow, I like this scene, what's up? And then they kiss and everything. I don't mean the stuff where like the guy's just like
Vagina.
like, that's
Ooh,
not what
awesome.
yeah, exactly, where the guy just like kicks his hands back, and then people end up having this idea that like sex is for men only and women are just there to please, and then as soon as they bust their nut they go to sleep and a woman's still sitting there like okay. Then that's not what I'm talking about. I don't want to advocate for that. I hate that stuff.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think that the problem is like I know I probably sound like a broken record. Like it all goes back to the data for me. Like they're suggesting better sex ed, and I think that and the regulation thing that I mentioned otherwise as well is something I would also agree with. But like for the purposes of this conversation, like that is like the best thing that I think can happen is the better sex ed when it comes to just completely like changing how the porn industry works and how people manufacture porn. I'm totally fine with that as well, right? Because you can find like negative effects in adults as well, correlative, not causal, of course. But I think that having a better model for sex would still be good for like the adult population too. And I'm also in favor of like having sex workers like self-actualize themselves more and get away from like a lot of the harmful sort of exploitative practices of these companies as well. Like I'm fine with people like normalizing OnlyFans and stuff like that. I think that's better, especially because kids don't have access to OnlyFans typically, right? So like there's a much greater barrier of entry.
Okay, so Pastel and then Doobie.
So I'd also like to point out how porn like completely fetishizes like anyone that deviates from the social norms, like trans women, people of color, and like that's also just a really big issue that again no one's brought up, which I thought would have been like something brought up almost immediately. Stuff like this probably isn't good for children to get their hands on. So again, we probably need to like regulate or do something to prevent this from happening, because like the fetishization of certain people is like I think objectively bad. I don't think anyone will disagree with me on this.
I don't agree. Yeah, sorry, I agree. Sorry.
I'm tired of seeing. I would pay so much money to stop seeing the word ebony.
Yeah,
I would
so
pay
like,
a lot of money.
Ugh, God.
I think it's perfectly fine to like regulate this so we can make the porn industry better for sex workers. We can like try to like minimize how much harmful porn there is and how easy of an access there is to it. At least for adults, and then probably we should, like as the studies are saying, probably just almost completely restrict porn to kids. I mean, they're probably going to get their hands on it anyways, but we should at least make it somewhat harder than just, okay, let's go on incognito mode, guys. We got this. So yeah, we should probably make it like a bit more tighter restrictions, because like most of these studies, which I'll drop again in the chat, are saying that like, yeah, we should probably do something like this. Help. Yeah, that's like most of my issues. And like again, completely reworking and like actually enforcing the South to do better sex ed curriculum definitely is a must that we should be doing.
Doobie, final word on this. Doobie?
Okay, so I think that like saying that porn is fine if we make it more realistic is a massive fucking cope. Saying that we should give porn to children, or allow children to access porn, is fucking disgusting. Children don't need porn. Saying that we look at the data, right? What the data also says is that access to porn by young adults, like teens, 20-year-olds, whatnot, leads to riskier sexual behavior, leads to young males hurting women more often.
Maladaptive attitudes towards relationships.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think, to me, given that we do exist in a society that is patriarchal, right, that there are a lot of incentives that lead people, coercive incentives that lead people to start doing porn, right? That plenty of like quote unquote amateur porn, right? It's people that just need to pay the fucking rent, or they need to pay the water bill, right? And I think this also exists for like quote unquote like other sex workers, right? People who are on OnlyFans. Right? There are serious like social consequences for these people that it seems like we're ignoring, right? In because we just want to jerk off and get off in our fucking bedrooms tonight. It seems irresponsible, seems unethical. I think that if you want something like porn to be okay, we need to deal with the patriarchal society that we exist in. We need to deal with the kind of capitalism that we live in. We need to deal with women literally being trained from birth to present themselves in a pleasing way to men, right? Then watching porn and seeing that in this porn, right? And seeing that in this porn, they're expected to behave as basically like literal sex objects to men who are trained when they're watching this as children to treat them badly, right? There's so many things we need to do before I think supporting an industry, a porn industry for anybody in this fucking country is ethical. It just seems it's so. To me, like the way that I think of porn now after watching that thing I told you about is I literally think of it like it's fucking like I'm watching someone be sexually assaulted because they need to pay the rent. They've agreed to do this thing that they don't want to fucking do, where they're being dehumanized, or if their parents saw it and their family saw it, they'd be fucking ostracized, right? And this isn't the case for everybody, right? There's some people make great careers out of porn, but I think the vast majority of these people are in these situations. And then that's not even like getting into the rest of it. I don't have time for it, but there's a lot of porn that's like, oh, just turned 18. Oh, here's a cheerleader. It's fucking disgusting.
And on Pornhub, a lot of them aren't actually 18.
Stop. Okay, all right. We're moving on. Round's over. Because straw poll has been fucking up, we're going to try to use a Twitch chat poll, see what happens there. Twitch chat poll, there it is. You can all see it now. Vote right now. You got 5 minutes left to vote. Vote right now. I even put on the timer above so you guys can see it visually. Everyone, vote this moment. Don't wait. You'll be heartbroken. So vote right now. I'm voting. You should too. Vote for who you want to win. This is the winner. This is the final round. This person, whoever gets the most votes here, will be crowned the winner. Right? So there's 5 minutes left on the clock. And since when the poll ends, it ends. So there's no way to vote afterwards. So now's the time. Jump on in. No regrets afterwards. Okay. On the other side of it, if you've been enjoying this content, hey, do me a favor, hit that follow button. Hit the follow button right now. Hit that notification bell. We do this content all the time. We'd love to have you here. We'll be back on Monday. First of all, the stream's not ending after this one. I should mention that the stream doesn't end after this. We're going to go on to our open walk-on panel, and if Doobie would be so kind, I would love for Doobie to join me there and tackle this. Catherine, what? You have your hand up?
Yeah. I just want to say, for the open walk-on, because I have other things I would like to do at my day, but can I start off at the open walk-on and then leave? Just because I have so many concerns with what Doobie has to say.
Yeah, you can walk on and walk off. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So I would love for Doobie and Layman if you like, and I mean also Pastel. Yeah. But I'd love for Doobie especially if you'd come on, because I've had to bite my tongue, and I want to not do that. So everyone, vote right now. Vote right now. The poll is up. It's in chat. If you're watching, and if you're not in Twitch chat right now, if you're watching it but you're not looking at Twitch chat, that's where the poll is. It's right there. It's sitting there. So vote right now. Now's the time. Don't be heartbroken if your person doesn't win because you didn't vote. Now's the time. And it's close too. So jump on in and vote right this moment. We have I don't know, I can't tell how many minutes left. It doesn't tell you. But we have about 3 minutes. We have about 3 minutes left on the poll. Do it now. Don't get heartbroken later. Do it now. But yeah, please support the stream. I'm going to do this again. I'm going to keep doing this to shill. But we need your help with keeping the stream alive. So sub to the channel, donate bits to the channel. We need your help to keep this all on. This takes a lot of work, putting all these people together to come up with these topics, which can be very difficult, let me tell you. And shout out to Layman for being helpful with these topics, actually. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, it takes a lot of effort, so I need your support to keep this content alive. It doesn't keep happening without kind individuals who regularly support. So now, hurry up, vote. Oh man, the votes are tight. Oh man, the whole thing's flipped. Oh wow, it looks like we're going to have Stream Queen here. We're going to have a new Stream Queen, but it's all up to you. All up to you. Time to vote. Right now is the moment. Don't wait till later. Vote right this moment.
It's me. I'm the Stream Queen.
Well, Bastiat was the past Stream Queen. That's the title. It doesn't matter who it is.
Oh, Bastiat. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Bastiat?
Yeah. Everyone, right this moment. Vote. I'm not posting, dude. There's no posting the link. You're not looking at it, Crimson. It's in the Twitch chat that you're typing in up above. That's where it is. It's in the Twitch chat. There it is. There's no link to post. It's right there. I'm
PayPaling everyone who votes for me $10 Canadian.
Hey man,
I'll do $11.
I'll do 12.
I'll do 13.
There we hear 14.
I'm bidding now.
14.
Pastel, you're gonna have to be paying a lot of money if that's the case, because you're getting a lot of votes. But you heard her. You heard her. That was the contract. No, that was the contract. You heard her. 13
It's only because of people who
per
vote
vote.
for me,
No,
not
no,
everyone in
13.
not everyone in chat.
Oh, you transfer everyone $100 if they transfer their votes to me. Whoever is here, Katarana, Pastel, Doobie, I'll buy up all them fucking votes, baby.
Yeah.
No one wants your Monopoly
Good
Canadian money.
elitism. I love elitism. Obviously, I'm the elitist cuck of the.
So remember.
Actually, no. Doobie's far more.
So
elitist than I am.
remember.
No one wants
That's okay.
Canuck bucks.
So
What'd you say?
Canuck bucks. Don't know one wants it. Your money's trash. Anyway, yes.
Fuck
Everyone,
you.
please hit the follow button if you haven't done so before. We do this content all the time. This program happens every week. Every week this program happens. So if you want to be a part of it, hit that follow button, hit that notification bell. We will be back next week with this, but we will continue on this stream and it's the open walk on panel. Okay, great. I understand. I'm glad you can vote for on me, Crimson Steel. Nice. All right, almost done. Seconds left. Okay. And if you missed out, I don't have to tell you. So, okay, you can see the chat. This is no, there's no build up here. Okay. Pastel Dallas, #1, the stream queen. It has begun. Thank you, Pastel. Your reign here has begun for a week. You are the stream queen. Katarana, you came in second. Doobie, and then Layman. I don't know why. Why haven't
last
you
again?
I don't know why. I thought you did a great job. Honestly, I thought you did a great job.
What the fuck?
Doobie, I'm guessing I know why you guys are so low this time. I have an idea. Interesting. This is the thing that set people off.
Nobody likes anti-porn people.
Okay, I can say exactly why, right? I think they won because the men in this Twitch chat are not ready to accept that the porn habit is actually hurting the people that they're jerking their little peepees to every night, right? I lost not because I'm incorrect. I lost. You guys aren't willing to accept your role, your responsibility in perpetuating the patriarchy. That's literally what happened. You guys are fucking disgusting.
This rhetoric.
Okay, yeah. I want you to say that to me when we jump into the open panel. I want to engage with you on this one. This will be a lot of fun. I think I'm not the only one who wants to engage with you on this one. But we won't let it be some dark. And also Katarana. Oh wow, yeah. But anyway, yes, Pastel Dallas, tell the world all about yourself. You are the winner. Tell them what you will do with your reign. How will you run this channel?
Well, I'm just gonna make sure that all women are treated as queens here because fuck men. Men are the worst. Okay, that's a kidding, chat. That's a kidding. Anyways, I'm a little concerned because I owe people $702 because I did the math. That's 54 times 13. I don't have that kind of money, so yeah, I guess I'm indebted to everyone. I'm a local activist for my scene. I make sure the people around where I'm at are aware of the upcoming policy that's being voted on in my municipality. One of the best things I've done so far is I've made it so where the local hotels in my county have to house the homeless people during the season, during winter, and that our municipality will just pay them back afterwards. I stream at Pastel Dallas. I'll probably stay on the walk-on panel afterwards for a little bit, and then probably get some food afterwards.
All right.
But yeah, that's about all.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Pastel Dallas, her link is in chat. Our new stream queen, her link is in chat. Please check her out. Now we'll start then from the bottom up. Bottom being you, Layman. Yes. So Layman.
Always a bottom. Damn.
Yep, that's right. Only tops watch porn. I'm just kidding. That's just a joke. I'm sorry. I apologize. No, that was wrong. That was wrong of me. Okay.
That's okay. I forgive you.
Layman, tell people where to find you.
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on Twitter at Lay underscore man underscore, so LAY underscore MAN
Seriously,
underscore.
get a Twitch so you can put these in
I
the
should.
chat. It'll make it
I
much
should.
easier. But go
I know.
ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and then in the link on my Twitter is my YouTube channel, which is just called Layman, and I usually talk about politics. I talk about cultural issues, social issues. I talk about religion. I talk about all kinds of shit that matters a lot to me and matters a lot to a lot of people. A lot of people love me, no matter what political alignment you tend to be from, typically. Although this chat, the way that my votes are going, doesn't seem to be supporting that position very well. So just trust me. I am here to rid the people of their oppression. Okay, I'm the real populist here. Okay, so you can follow me, and I will liberate the people accordingly. And that's where you can find me.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Next, Doobie, the Dark Lord with a pure heart and full balls. Doobie, thank you for being here. Doobie, you know you're one of my favorites, despite me disagreeing with you on this particular subject. You are always welcome, and we're always excited to have you around. Doobie, tell the world about yourself.
Yeah, so I help run the politics server on Discord, discord.gg/politics, or you can just do like politics.gg. That'll get you to there too. And yeah, we are, as far as I know, the largest and most active politics/debate server on Discord. I think we're at like 43,000 members right now or some shit. I can't remember. We do AMAs just about every weekend. Tomorrow we've got an AMA with a tanky for some fucking reason. We had an AMA with Lawrence Krauss yesterday. And I think we've got that. We got like we've got tons of shit coming up. I don't know. So if you'd like to find me there and tell me why and defend your pee pulling habit to me, you'll find me there. There all the time. Discord.gg/politics. Prime, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Exclamation point Doobie in chat. Just like that's already there. You can see that. Find the discord.gg/politics link. Please check it out. Go to a server. I've had a good time there. I think you'll have a good time there too. If you're argumentative and you want to find someone to yell at, you will find it at that server. I guarantee you. Yes, and we've actually had a lot of Doobie's mods come through here, and they're good people too. I'll always enjoy interacting with them. So he's got a nice team behind him. But thank you so much, Doobie. Last but not least, we have Katarana, who was second crushing second. She was you did so well to get so far, but Katarana, tell the world why you may be runner-up in this poll, but not runner-ups in their hearts.
What?
Okay, never mind. I tried to be clever. It didn't work. I'm sorry.
I should be number one in your hearts because I'm pretty sure Prime doesn't have that many women of color, so just feel bad for me. I'm kidding. Anyway, hello, my name is Katarana. I am a soon-to-be physicist, but I call myself a physicist now because fuck university systems. I'm also a soon-to-be satellite lady. I'm also the president of my university's space organization, and I like to talk about space and other things like that. That's why staring at your hoodie has been quite a triggering experience for me, but don't worry about it. It's not your fault.
Oh, no. What? NASA's great, kind of. We're kind of cool.
Okay. But yeah, I do this. I like to come on Prime stuff and just yell at people, and I guess it's going pretty well. I also like to talk about science. So if you have any questions about physics or anything related to science except for biology, because fuck biology for the 85th time, it's such a I hate it. I will fight anybody on this. I hate it. It's dumb.
It's great.
Do you want to take it outside? We'll do it.
Yeah.
We live in the same. We live in the same country.
Take it to Quebec, huh?
Yeah,
I'll do it.
Tabernacle.
Hold up, man. What's up?
But yeah, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Twitch. Eventually, you'll be able to find me on YouTube. And I should be doing partnerships with some bigger YouTube people somewhat soon when I'm done with my degree, and I can finally dedicate stuff to that. So if you want to keep on hearing about my kind of shit, lefty, sometimes non-lefty takes and physics and other things like that, give me a follow and a like and whatever the things. Do the things.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much. All right. So we're going to roll into our open walk-on panel. Doobie, will you be joining us?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yes, thank you. Oh god, because no, I wanna fight. I'm looking to fight. And Joe, the silly serious, I see you in chat. We'll love to have you. Because you are closer to Doobie's side. Than to my side. And I would love to fight you on this.
Joe Lewis?
But we'll see. I might have to limit the number of participants in this because people are going to be fucking crazy. I might end up limiting the number of participants, and then we'll see. We'll see how it checks out. So anyway, we are going to roll into our open walk on panel. It's going to be fantastic. Anyone here is welcome to join us, but if not, that's okay. Thank you for spending your time, your energy, your passion, your knowledge with my community. I know they appreciate just as much as I do. Have a good one. And then you can go to the other room if you want. And don't worry, we'll get you all in. All right. Bye.